I'm going to be live streaming all Sunday morning as well, answering your questions all the way to kickoff. That should be about a 5-hour stream. This one will be a little bit quicker. Maybe we go for about 3 hours, but y'all know I'm catching up with news. We are answering questions. We are reviewing fantasy football teams every single day until Christmas. So if somehow you are not already, make sure you subscribe. And if you find yourself watching the replay of this and you're like, hey, I would have actually rather been in the live stream so I could ask a few of these questions myself, I would recommend hitting the bell next to the subscribe button and we'll get you set up. Most of these you'll see are going to be free questions. Give away a ton of free questions in the chat every single day. Now, let's go ahead and let's dive into this first team from Sinful Assist. Not only are we going to be submitting the lineup here, but we are also going to actually be seeing if there are any waiver wire moves or any trades for us to make. Saying, hey Mason, feel like I had a good draft using your rankings and taking advantage of my home league. Looking to upgrade at quarterback and running back. What are your thoughts? Also, I can't wait to get my hands on one of those hats. Much love and congrats on the engagement. Thank you so much, my friend. And yes, sir, I actually have the things in motion. We're going to get that Google form up on the site relatively soon. I see that you have the free team review here, so you definitely are an annual mother flocker, and we'll definitely get you a hat sent out, my guy. But excited to check this out. First thing to mention is this team's currently going to be streaming quarterbacks. Right now, we do have CJ Stroud as our starter. I would say that obviously plan A for a team like this is let's go out there and let's trade for an elite quarterback. The league settings, it's a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex format. So quarterback's going to make up a very high percentage of our starting lineup output. You can really only get 3 wide receivers into your lineup here weekly. So I would like to go through and I would like to, if possible, upgrade by trading away a wide receiver. Like a very easy trade would be, hell, let's try to send Jackson Smith-Njigba, who I believe at this point is probably an elite option. But let's try to send JSN for Josh Allen. Let's try to send JSN for Lamar Jackson. Let's try to send Igbuka or Tet and go get Jalen Hurts. Go get Jaden Daniels. Like, obviously, I would love to make a trade like that for a quarterback. Let's try to send Devonta Smith. Let's try to send Rome Odunze. Let's send one of those guys for Joe Burrow. Because the wide receiver depth's an unnecessary feature of this team. We have so much value here at wide receiver that you can see we are very clearly the #1 team with the league analyzer. And if we are going to be looking at trading away like JSN, while, yeah, Jackson Smith-Njigba is great, you can just slide Igbuka from your bench into your starting lineup. And honestly, if that's going to happen, that's our replacement level receiver. It's kind of no harm, no foul. So if we go ahead and we look at what we have with the options on the waiver wire, I would say right now I would cut Kayshon Boutte and pick up Jared Goff. Because the way that your roster is currently situated, we are way more likely to play Goff than we would to ever play Kayshon Boutte. Again, right now, Igbuka, Devonta Smith, and Rome Odunze are all in your bench. So, like, for Boutte to get inside your starting lineup, it is going to be very, very difficult. Going over and looking at running back, we have JT, Trevion, Ja'Cory Cross-Kamara, Charbonnet, Mixon, Spears. So solid running back room. I know you mentioned that we would like to upgrade. And yeah, if you could trade like Igbuka and Ja'Cory Cross-Kamara and go get a top-end running back, find your way into Chase Brown, find your way into Bucky Irving, it would be an absolute no-brainer. But again, much, much easier said than done there. I think plan A would be trading for the quarterback. If before we even do that, I would drop Kayshon Boutte for Jared Goff. We have the elite tight end already with Trey McBride, and running back's kind of fine here with Taylor and Henderson. If we are looking at what we can do in terms of starting lineup, I would honestly probably start Goff over Stroud this week. If we can cut Boutte, pick up Goff, put him in at quarterback. Running back, we're going to start Taylor and Henderson. Wide receiver, Neighbors and JSN. I'm going to put Igbuka in the flex spot over Tet. I would rather have Tet rest of season, but for this week, of course, you have no Godwin. We'll go Trey McBride at tight end, and we'll try to send one of those wide receivers that we discussed for a QB. But I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this, my guy. And yeah, again, there's not much I can discuss because you are by far and away the best team in this league. You absolutely crushed everyone. And I see Phil asking if Bauer's good to go. Yeah, let me run through the most updated news that I have for everybody here. Kind of wanted to do this once we had people trickling in rather than right out the gate. But we have Brock Bowers As somebody who did not practice all week, but he plays on Monday. So he actually got in the practice today, and they're saying that he will be fine. So the other news that you have is you have no Christian Kirk for Monday. The Giants have no urgency to bench Russ for Dart. And in terms of anything else, really the main thing is Brock Bowers expected to play. And of course, if you have Young Hoku, you are going to have to go through and you're going to have to pick up a different kicker. But I think that's really it for the news that came out today. Obviously, if we get anything tomorrow, I'll go ahead and keep you posted. But let me go over and look at our next question. This one's going to be Mike. This looks like it's a Dynasty team, so we're actually going to be saving that for the Dynasty live stream. So it's just Kev says, don't want to let B-Rob go. He's my lottery ticket. Swift is a 50-50 for me versus the Lions defense. I hate both my tight ends, even with Njoku projecting to be good against the Ravens. I don't know what projections you're looking at there. Can I see what the underdog projections are for that? Because my assumption would be David Njoku projects very poorly against the Baltimore Ravens, knowing that the Browns project to be the worst offense in the NFL, and Harold Fannin all of a sudden actually looks like he is going to be viable here. So let me go ahead and see what the higher lower is on Underdog. They have David Njoku higher lower 39.5 receiving yards. Higher lower 7.75 fantasy points. Can I see what Harold Fannin's at? Because we have Harold Fannin as like an easy bench. We have Harold Fannin higher lower 35.5 receiving yards, higher lower 7.5 fantasy points. But anyway, let's dive into this. We want to go 2-0. So this is a 10-team league, so we should have decent options on the waiver wire. We are Swifty Scalper, and we are down here at the bottom of the league analyzer. Despite us winning week 1, and despite us scoring the second most points in the league, we are far behind our league mates when it comes to actual value on this team. Now, I will say, based off the first glance of your roster, and let me send you over some free questions too, just in case you want to follow up with anything here. The easy moves that I can tell you to make, I'm going to be dropping David Njoku very easily. I mean, if we're looking at Njoku, he comes through, runs 39 routes last week, only has 3 receptions. It was a great matchup where he scored 6.7 fantasy points. I'm going to drop David Njoku in favor of Tucker Kraft, where we saw Tucker Kraft just drop 24.5 points Thursday night. So I would be aggressive too. If you have fab bidding, I think realistically, like dropping David Njoku and picking up Tucker Kraft could really, really help your squad. The next thing that I would potentially look to do here would be, I know you said you don't want to, so I'm not going to push it too hard, but I would strongly consider dropping Brian Robinson for Trey Benson. If this was my roster, that's what I would do. And honestly, if you made those 2 moves, I would assume that we would actually probably jump up to the 7th spot in the league analyzer. But here at quarterback, we have Justin Herbert. If Herbert is your QB in a 10-team league, it's whatever. Like, we're not excited about it. Looking at the options on the waiver wire, you have May, Stroud. So, like, realistically, you could see yourself eventually, depending on how things play out, look at QBs on waivers. I'm not saying that you're going to. I'm not saying that you need to. But 10-team league, I don't think that Justin Herbert's like a top 4 quarterback of like the elite names. And if you're like, you can be a top 10 quarterback and in a 10-team league, you're still below average at the position, right? Now, looking at what we have at running back, we have Jacobs and Swift, so completely fine. We're getting a couple guys that will have volume. 12-team format, I'd be excited about this running back room. 10-team league kind of feels like whatever. We have Sharp and Judkins has the high upside pieces later on. Wide receiver, we have Nico, Ladd McConkey. So we have 2 presumable like wide receiver ones. I understand both guys disappointed. Week 1, very impressive that you ended up winning with the Nico Collins and Ladd McConkey performances. We have Marvin 1 flex spot. And then I would actually probably plan on putting Hollywood in the 2nd flex spot over Zach Charbonnet this week. And then again, at tight end, I would plan on dropping David Njoku, picking up Tucker Kraft. And I think in terms of who we are starting, you're probably going to go ahead and you're probably going to be starting Dalton Kincaid over David Njoku. Again, I'm not that excited with the Browns options. If you are looking at Cleveland, they currently project to be the worst offense in the NFL this week. And then in terms of trades that you can make with your team, do we have any expendable assets? I know you're saying that you wanted to trade for an elite name, but the fact of the matter is this is a start 8 format. So like it's a 10-team league where we're already projecting to have like Hollywood Brown in our starting lineup this week. And like the best player on our bench would be like Zach Charbonnet. So like the fact of the matter is I don't know if you are going to be able to make a trade. Like realistically, what's an expendable asset that we have on this team that somebody's going to be excited trading for? Marvin Harrison? But like we need Harrison ourselves, given the fact that we got to have a couple players for our flex. Like if this was a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league, I think I could tell you like, oh yeah, let's go trade Harrison and Swift and go get an upgrade at running back too. Oh, let's go trade Harrison and Justin Herbert and see what quarterback we can get. But if you're looking at what you could potentially do in terms of this being a league with double flex, I hate to tell it to you, but I don't think I see any trades for you. I sent you over some free trade questions in case anything comes across your plate. The only thing that I'm doing as of now is, again, I'm being aggressive to pick up Tucker Kraft. And I think that's about it. I personally would cut Brian Robinson for Trey Benson, but I know you said that you wanted to hold on to Brian Robinson. And they're both almost just premium handcuff backs, right? I'm not saying that you're crazy. I'm not saying that you absolutely have to do that. It's just something that I personally would do. But yeah, I wish I had some trades for you. I just don't know if you have any expendable value. Like typically when we're looking to make those 2-for-1 deals to go get like an elite player, it's from those teams that are at the top of the league analyzer. And when we're this far at the bottom, it's just going to be tough for us. But again, I really appreciate you. I really hope I was able to help you out in some way. But the last thing that you could do is go selling all your depth to try to go get like a Monroe St. Brown. Because I honestly don't think your team has enough depth because of this format. But I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this, my guy. And I see people in the chat asking where they can get a hat like this. So we are not selling them. Every year when we've done merch, and if y'all been around for a while, y'all know this. But we've done like giveaways for our merch effectively. Where what we do is if you are like a paid member of the site, you just get the merch essentially for free. It depends on what level you are. If you got the season pass, I'm gonna be honest, for me to like order the hat and for me to ship the hat and then obviously pay the developers on the website, pay the AWS bills and blah, blah, blah. If I were to give everybody who got the season pass a free hat, we would just lose money on the season passes. Like it would be unprofitable for us. And we'll try to make the season passes as cheap as possible, but we're not going to just go through and willingly lose money on them. But if you are an annual Mother Flocker, you'll be able to get a hat for free. I just placed an order we already have about 400 here. We have domain shirts too. So we have about like 600 pieces of merch at my house right now. I just placed an order for 2,000 hats and we should get that in a couple weeks. And when we get that, I'll be posting oh dear God, this is a disaster. I'll be posting a link on flockfantasy.com, like a Google form where you'll fill out the Google form and you can go ahead and get a hat there. But I just realized that our mouse is dead and I need to find a charger for it. And so as I do this, I will prepare to give away some free stuff. So if you want some free questions, we're going to be giving away all live stream. Just go down, drop a like on this live stream, subscribe to the channel, and then put your flockfantasy.com username in the chat. And then we'll go ahead and we'll pick some of y'all to give free questions to. Sorry, it's just going to take me about 20 seconds. I got to get some charge in this computer mouse. I'm an idiot too, because I remember I had the little alert pop up that the mouse had low battery like this morning. And I specifically thought, oh, yeah, you should probably charge that. So you're not in this exact situation where we're in the live stream and it dies. Okay, but we just got enough juice to do something here. So let's go ahead and let's find some names in the chat and let's send y'all over some free questions real quick. And we got Popcorn. Let me send you something. Thank you again for hanging out with us on the stream, my friend. And yeah, with that Google form where we'll be sending y'all out the free hats, I just sent you a free start set, Popcorn. All you'll essentially need to do is, like, we're going to have a bunch of different designs for the hats. You'll just have to rank, like, how you like the designs, best to worst. That way we can hopefully get everybody what they, which design they like the most, or second most, obviously. And then Lucid, I just sent you a free start set as well. And Nava, I'll send you one. And then we'll ask for your flockfantasy.com email address. That way we can confirm that you have that membership. And from there, we will just go ahead and send out the hats. So MD, this is a Dynasty team. We're going to have to save that for a Dynasty live stream. Move over. And I'm not saying that nobody who got the season pass will receive hats. I'm just saying I can't guarantee if you got the season pass, you'll get a hat, because I know that more than 2,500 members of there are more than 2,500 people. We'll have about 2,500 pieces of merch. There are definitely more than 2,500 people that got the season pass. So it will go first priority to the annual Mother Flockers. And then second priority will be to the season pass peeps. But Adrian says, wanted to see where my team ranked and what you'd recommend for us to improve. So right now, our team ranks, we are third in the league analyzer, which in a 14-team league is not bad. Here's going to be my concern. This is a deep, deep league. This is a 14-team format where you start 8 players. So we can get 4 starting wide receivers into our lineup every single week. So this puts us in a little bit of an awkward spot where typically it's going to be tough to afford the elite level tight end. Now we are sitting here with Trey McBride. And I'm not saying like, oh, okay, we absolutely need to trade Trey McBride. There's no way that we can make this team work with McBride. There's a chance, right? But if we have McBride as our tight end 1, we just have to assume that in a 14-team league where it's difficult to find depth elsewhere, that naturally we're going to be a little bit weaker at the other positions. Wide receivers, somehow we are incredible here. We have London, Marv, Sutton, Travis Hunter, George Pickens, and Ricky Pearsall as our wide receiver 6 in a 14-team format. Going over and looking at what we have at running back obviously is going to be by far and away the weakest position on this team. But 14-team league, everybody's going to be weak somewhere. And then quarterback, we have Jordan Love and Brock Purdy. So if we're looking at what we could potentially do trade-wise, I think very clearly it would make a lot of sense to just trade a wide receiver for a running back. Because for the time being, we don't know if we can trust RJ Harvey. For the time being, I'm pretty sure we can't trust Kenneth Walker. So if you'd be able to go through and if you'd be able to flip, let's find the teams that actually have quality running backs that potentially could afford to trade one. So this team is LaGente. I mean, what you can do here with the My Teams page on the site is you can sort by the positional strength. This team is Bijan and Barkley somehow, but they have no depth beyond this. There's no way that we could get to Bijan Barkley ourselves. This team has Derrick Henry, Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt, Jalen Warren. This team has Gente, Achane. Just, you're going to have a hard time finding people with expendable running backs. This team is Gibbs, Pollard, Javonte. This team is Taylor, Hampton, Benson. Every team we come across, it's like, oh, they have 2 solid RBs. Now, this is the first team that we have seen that actually has 3 running backs. This team has Chase Brown, Breece Hall, and James Conner. So going back and looking at our roster, I think for me, I would be completely fine trading away Drake London and getting Chase Brown. I would be fine trading away Marvin Harrison and getting Breece Hall. I would be fine trading away Cortland Sutton and getting back James Conner. I mean, I wouldn't say that for absolutely everybody. But here in a 14-team format where we are loaded up with 6 viable receivers, we can only start 4 of them. Whereas running back's a massive need. We have the elite tight end. I think I would love to make a pivot like that. Looking at the waiver wire, Ray Davis is probably too good of an option to be sitting out there. But at the same time, like realistically, we don't have anybody that we can cut. Going over and looking at quarterbacks, like there aren't enough on the waiver wire where we could say like, hey, yeah, we're fine cutting Purdy in a 14-teamer. So I think the fact of the matter is the only thing that I'm looking to do with this team is just, again, go after the teams that have maybe multiple viable running backs and see if we can just flip them a receiver for an RB. Like maybe this team thinks that they are okay trading away Alvin Kamara for Marvin Harrison. I would send Marvin Harrison for Kamara in a heartbeat. And then going through and looking at our other potential moves, there are really only 2 teams that we found. Like this team down here is even worse than us at running back. They have like Chuba, then Pacheco as their RB2. But I think that's all I got for you, my guy. I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this. And again, I think you have an incredible team for a 14-team format, to be honest. I'm surprised we are not higher in the league. And like, how the hell is this team so good? This team is Lamb, Ladd, Taylor, Hampton, Wilson. Yes, that team's pretty good. But yeah, incredible squad for a 14-teamer. Now let's move this over to our next one. This is going to be recognized as, and I think this is a Dynasty League. So we're going to save this for a Dynasty live stream. This one's a Dynasty team as well. We'll save that for a Dynasty one. But we got King Phil says, hey Mason, longtime flock member. Thank you for everything. I'm struggling in this league to make moves. I had a roadblock where I send fair trades that get declined and countered with disrespectful offers. Anything you can suggest would be huge. Thankfully, ETN turned out to be something or I'd be worse off. So we are second in the league analyzer. I think you are in a completely fine spot. And again, if you're in a spot in which you're not able to make trades, like our league mates are just very stubborn, the thing that I think we should be optimizing for will just be the bottom end of our roster with waiver wire pivots. The first thing that I want to point out here is if Jared Goff is our only QB, Goff is in the caliber of quarterbacks that I'd be completely fine rostering as second. And looking at what we have out there on the waiver wire right now, really there's only like one quarterback that I think we can be excited about for the time being, and that would be Geno Smith. So if you wanted to go through and if you wanted to potentially like cut, say, Brian Robinson and pick up Geno, I would. Now, of course, with that in mind, I would way rather cut Tajee Spears. But my assumption, of course, is that Spears is going to be on the IR where Robinson's actually on the active roster. But if you could say that Um, I don't know. I think the only way you can open up a roster spot is probably going Brian Robinson to Geno. Going over, there is like a very interesting running back there with Byshell Tuden. I think that if this is a 2 wide receiver 1 flex where we have St. Brown, Ladd McConkey, Mike Evans, Cortland Sutton, George Pickens is our wide receiver 5, and we can only start 3 wide receivers at the very maximum. I would go ahead and honestly, I would try to just cut Quentin Johnston and pick up the running back that does have a very high ceiling. I would go ahead. I would cut Quentin Johnston. I'd pick up Byshell Tuten. And then in terms of like making trades, again, it's stupid simple here with these league settings, with how our roster is situated, where we're really good with the skill positions. We have a lot of depth at running back that's high upside. We have 5 viable receivers. We have a solid tight end with Tyler Warren. The only thing that can make sense for this team is trading a wide receiver for an elite QB. With your format and with how good your team is, I would be completely A-okay trading Amon-Ra St. Brown and getting back Josh Allen. Trading Amon-Ra St. Brown and getting back Lamar Jackson. But if your league mates are super stubborn where they're not going to make a trade, I think you cut Brian Robinson, cut Quentin Johnston, you pick up Byshell Tuten, you pick up Geno Smith. And then in terms of who we're starting this week, you start Genty and Etienne at running back, and we start St. Brown, Ladd, Evans at wide receiver. And then we would start Goff at quarterback regardless. But really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this, my guy. Let's move this over to our next one. This is from George. Says, hey, Mason, thank you for taking the time to review the team. Thank you, my guy. Appreciate you. And let's go ahead and let's dive into this. So this is the 3rd team in the league analyzer. This is very similar to wide receiver 1 flex format. And I'm sorry to cut me off here, but just saw in the chat we hit 300 likes. So we're going to give away some free questions in the chat. All you got to do is to qualify for the free questions, make sure that you are subscribed, drop a like on this live stream. And again, if you want to come out to the beginning of the streams when we always have the questions turned on, I would highly recommend hitting the bell next to the subscribe button so YouTube tells you when we go live. We'll get back to giving those free questions in just 1 second. And it looks like based off the My Teams page here, I actually do need to move Evan Ingram up our tight end rankings a bit. Anyway, we have McCarthy at quarterback. This is a 2 wide receiver 1 flex league. So quarterback's going to make up a very high percentage of our starting lineup output weekly. Looking at what we have in terms of the quarterbacks on the waiver wire, I would pick up CJ Stroud here. Get another option that we could play if things get ugly. Like realistically, if we are looking at Kenneth Gainwell as an example, Gainwell has no real upside. Even if Jalen Warren were to go down, then all of a sudden I think we would expect it to be a 50-50 backfield split with Caleb Johnson. So, cut Gainwell, pick up Stroud. Running back, we have Bijan, we have Chase Brown, we have Javonte. So 3 great running backs, and then high upside guys with Benson and Byshell Tuten. Absolutely love it. Going over to receiver, we have Evans, DJ Moore, Jerry Jeudy, Cooper Kupp, Kayshon Boutte. I would go ahead and I would cut Cooper Kupp. This is a 2 wide receiver 1 flex format. We have a solid running back that we can put into the flex anyway. So really, we're never going to be starting Cooper Kupp here in my mind based off what we saw week 1. And if we're looking at what we have available to us on the waiver wire, I do think that you have like Cam Scadaboo is an option that can continue to get better as time goes on. So drop Kupp, drop Gainwell, pick up Cam Scadaboo, pick up CJ Stroud. Then in terms of trades, I don't think you do anything right now. I think you have a great roster, especially with your format. If Evan Ingram were to pop off this week, and then at that point, Evan Ingram becomes a player that we can actually get some value out of. Obviously, I'd love to trade like Evan Ingram and DJ Moore and try to get a better wide receiver. But the fact of the matter is you're just not going to be getting anything for Evan Ingram right now. So I think just the small waiver wire pivots will put your team in a better spot. But I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this. But we are just really in on Bijan, Brock Bowers, Chase Brown to take it home for us. Now, let me move this over and let me give away some free questions to the chat. Like I said, all you got to do to get those is hit the like, subscribe, and every 100 likes we hit, we are going to be giving away more free questions. We got official making with this one. Let me see if I can find you. Just found you and just sent you over that free start sit, my friend. We got Great Pello with our next one. Just found you and just sent you over that free start sit as well. But let's move this over to our next one. This is LaGente. Always happy to see you and really appreciate you. Let me send you over some free questions as well. It says, hey, Mason, I lost Purdy and Kittle after week 1. I picked up May and Harold Fannin off the waiver wire. Fannin has a tough matchup versus the Ravens in week 2 and faces Green Bay in week 3. I was thinking about picking up Hunter Henry to stack with May and dropping Fannin, but I think Fannin's good rest of season. So I would rather have Hunter Henry in my rankings this week than Harold Fannin. Again, if we are looking, and I know I'm a broken, whatever it's called, broken drum, beating drum, whatever the hell it is. But we consistently talk about the Browns projecting out to be the worst offense in the league this week because I think it's very relevant with how you project these guys. And if we're looking at what we have with like the projections right now for Harold Fannin versus Hunter Henry, you have Harold Fannin, higher lower 7.5 fantasy points. Hunter Henry saw almost like a career high or at least a New England career high. I don't remember when he was in San Diego with his snap rate last week. He is higher lower about 6.95 points, but I think based off the offensive environments, I would be a lot less surprised if we get the Hunter Henry touchdown this week than the Fannin. But fact of the matter is, it is very difficult for us to project the tight ends, right? It really does come down to like, does he or does he not score the touchdown? Who's the guy that's going to get it? Now, anyway, this is going to be a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex, half PPR format. So quarterback is going to make up a very high percentage of our starting lineup output weekly. Like, obviously, I'd way rather have somebody other than Drake May, but it's not our fault, right, that we ended up getting the Purdy injury. So it does look like there are a couple quick things that we can do with this team. The first thing is Jordan Addison's way too good to be out there on waivers. Like, I understand that obviously we can't start him over the next 2 weeks, but you're not going to start Josh Downs here over the next 2 weeks anyway. And when they are both playing, I'd way rather have Jordan Addison over Downs. So I would go ahead. I would cut Josh Downs. I'd pick up Jordan Addison. And then you know what? Looking at the waiver wire, while Hunter Henry is interesting, I think I would rather have Kincaid over both Fannin and Henry. Maybe I'm too high here. Let me see what people in the chat have to say. Can y'all please spam the chat? Who would you rather have? Both this week and rest of season. Kincaid, Harold Fannin, or Hunter Henry? Because again, when it comes to these tight ends, I'm an idiot, right? I'm not going to come through and try to pretend like I know ball and you have to listen to me. Would you rather have Kincaid, Hunter Henry, or Harold Fannin? We got Henry, Fannin, Fannin, Henry, Henry, Fannin, Kincaid, Kincaid, Henry, Kincaid, Kincaid, Fannin, Henry, 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 Kincaid, Henry, Henry, Kincaid, Kincaid, Henry, Fannin. So it looks like you got a lot of mixed reviews here. There was a consistent name. It's possibly Hunter Henry. To be honest with you, it doesn't matter much for me that we have Drake May. Like, that's kind of going to be irrelevant here. This isn't like an underdog best ball draft. Looking at what we can do with the rest of the roster, like, we have a solid quarterback out there on waivers with Caleb Williams. It is just such a tough spot if, like, I would like to pick up Caleb, but at the same time, I don't want to drop Braylon. And we're already dropping Josh Downs for Addison. Looking at what we have with the running back room, we have Jahmyr Gibbs, Trevion Henderson. Phenomenal top two names. We have Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, who all of a sudden looks viable with the Eckler injury. We have Jalen Warren. We have Braylon Allen. Now, realistically, there is possibly a team in your league that could start Jalen Warren, that could use Jalen Warren's production, even though our running back room, we're ranked second in the league analyzer at running back. We don't need Warren. But we go down here, and this team maybe starts Jalen Warren. This team maybe starts Jalen Warren. This team maybe starts Jalen Warren. There are a lot of teams, like this team has RJ Harvey as their RB2, Caleb Johnson RB3. Like, this team 100% could use Warren. So, and Jalen Warren in general is a player that has kind of like that expiration date, right? Eventually, Caleb Johnson's going to expand his role, and eventually Jalen Warren's not going to be viable. So if we're not using his production now, like, I think that we should go ahead and we should look to see what we could get from him. So if we could potentially go through and sell Jalen Warren in a 2-for-1 deal and get an upgrade elsewhere, like, I would love, and maybe there's no way that this happens. I'm sending the offer anyway. I would offer them Jalen Warren and Igbuka and see if we can go through and get Amon-Ra St. Brown. I would offer Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt and Igbuka for Amon-Ra St. Brown. I would offer Trevion Henderson and Drake May for Jalen Hurts. I would offer Trevion Henderson and I would offer Trevion and George Kittle for Trey McBride. Because again, you have the running back depth that I think we can get away with it. So if there was a trade to make with this team, I think it's going to be sending away one of the running backs, like a running back needy team, to get an elite onesie because it's a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex format. I am obviously going to be dropping Josh Downs, picking up Jordan Addison. And then at tight ends, I do think that it is kind of going to be up to you, but it seemed like the majority of the chat was in on Hunter Henry over Harold Fannin. But again, I think you can make an argument for Fannin. I think you can make an argument for Kincaid. Honestly, kind of going to be up to you there, but I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way here. I know you're always out with us, my guy, and I did send you over those free questions if there's anything else that you want help with. But it does look like we had 400 likes on the stream, so everybody go down, drop your flockfantasy.com username in the chat, and we'll get sent over some more free questions. And we're giving away a ton of free questions every single live stream. If you want to qualify, all you got to do is make sure you drop a like on the stream, be subscribed to the channel, and if you wanted to get those questions in, I would highly recommend hitting the bell next to the subscribe button so YouTube lets you know when we are live. But we're going to hit next question. I think we're going to move over and actually get to some quick hitting questions. Let me take a quick little break from the team reviews. Let's go and look at the trade, start set, and super messages. But we got Salt and Pepper with this start set, and we'll go through and get to that in just 1 second for you, my friend. But let me first send out some free questions. So this first one's going to be to Exceed. Exceeds with a Z. Let me see if I can find you real quick, and we'll get that sent over to you. Just found you and just sent you over a free start sit. Really appreciate you, my guy. And let's send one out for Not Versi as well. I feel like we've sent you out a couple now at this point, which, again, I'm not going to punish somebody for hanging out with us in the stream too much. Going like, oh, you can only win once. No, you can win as many times as you want. But just sent that over to you, and it should be in your account now. Appreciate you as well hanging out with us in the chat. Now, let's move this over to the next question. This is Salt and Peppa. We need a start sit. Right now, we have Jonnu in. I'd probably play Jonnu over Loveland at this point. And then down on the bench, we have Waddle, full PPR format. Actually, I'm not going to play Waddle either. We'll play Tyrone Tracy. I'm definitely going to put Tracy there in the flex. With Tracy, don't love him in the long term, but if you're looking at him in the short term, it's not like Scadaboo's anything yet. Okay. Now, Exceeds trading Swift and a first for Montgomery, Godwin, and Olave. Olave versus the first. This Dynasty Superflex. Give me the first. Swift versus Montgomery. I would rather have Swift this year. Swift's also the younger back, drafted in 2020. Montgomery 2019. I'm probably going to go Swift in the first. I feel like this is a trade you make and then you kind of regret in the offseason. Now, Lank says, no idea who to start early in the season, especially with Worthy now out. So I'm going to go Pickens over Judy. You actually have, we were very worried about Pickens last week. The Cowboys projected to be a bottom 5 offense in the league, but this week they project to be a top 5, just much, much better matchup. And then in the flex, honestly, you're just going to have to go ahead and play Jerry Jeudy, even if the Browns project to be horrible. Full PBR format, no way in hell I can trust Judkins. He's in the same bad offense. Now, X-Man, running back, ETN is an auto start. And then for the flex, we'll go Chuba versus Marv. Honestly, I'm going to go Chuba. I'm going to take both running backs off 3-down workloads. Now, Duval Diego, here for the flex. It's really like the Seattle back, Stephon Diggs. Like, if you look at this, Diggs played... Come on, load. 56% of the snaps last week. I'm going to go Kenneth Walker and hope that Kenneth Walker's foot injury heals up a bit and he has a larger role. But same time, do not feel comfortable about it at all. You just don't have great options. Jay Cawley, I'm going to be much, much higher on Devonta Smith this week now that you have no Dallas Goedert. Tight end, give me Ferg over Loveland. And then for the flex, we're going to be going with Tet McMillan. Now, Jake says, I have Fields and Hunter Henry on the bench in a 10-team league. Okay. Honestly, not super compelling. It's not like we have Justin Fields on the bench in a 10-team league, and I'm like, oh, okay. We absolutely need to go through and we need to sell Burrow and get some value out of him. Genty versus London, give me Genty. Adams versus London, Adams versus Brian Thomas, give me Brian Thomas. Olave versus Hampton, give me Hampton. Trading Tyler Warren. This is a whatever deal. Let me throw this in the trade calculator. I will say, in general, I absolutely hate 5-player for 5-player deals. It's like, what the hell are we doing here? Okay. And again, like, it's not like Fields and Hunter Henry are phenomenal options in a 10-team league. It's not like I have them and I'm like, oh, okay, I need to trade away Tyler Warren and Joe Burrow. You would still for sure rather have Warren and Burrow. We're going to feel real bad if we get some regression to Fields, which should be expected. Okay. London, Tillman. Let's see what the trade calc says. Here, let's do 2 things. One, let's see if Y'all agree or disagree with the trade calculator? I'm not going to tell y'all what the calculator says until you give me your answer. Look at the screen right now and let me know, do you want the left or the right side? The left or the right side? For me, in general, trades like this, I'd rather just not make. But if you had to pick a side that you wanted, which one are you going with? I love this comment, bro, through Cedric Tillman in there. Yeah, that is funny. Okay. And let's see what people are saying. We got right, left, 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 left. Right, left, 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 right, left. Left, right, 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 left, right, right, left, left. Right, 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 left, left, right, left, right, 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 right. Right, right, left, 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 left. It looks like y'all are split 50-50. It depends on the values that you're using. If you use my rankings here for the trade calculator, it says you slightly lose. If you use the expert average, it says you slightly win. Let's see what every creator has. You use Avery's, you slightly win. You use Danny's, you win straight up. Use Nathan's, it's a fair deal. Use Zach's, you win. And you have Bush. Bush is saying you win as well. So essentially, the majority of the creators say that it's the right side. I had it slightly as the left. In reality, I just think it's a whatever trade. I think it's up to you. Like, I'm not going to have super strong feelings on it one way or another. I would say in general, I don't want to be making trades like that. Now, B. Wartman with our next one. Quarterback, I'm going to go Dak over Baker this week. And let me make sure that's reflected in my rankings too. Because the projections with this Tampa offense are not great. I'm not going to do that for my rest of season ranks, but for this week specifically. Yeah, let me move Dak Prescott up. I definitely want to make sure that we have Dak higher than Baker in our ranks this week. And then for the flex, I think we're going to go ahead and leave this as is. The best option to get your lineup would be Aaron Jones, and we don't put him in over any of the names that are in there now. Okay. Grand Lake Rock says might be able to push for Kyler. Yeah, I'd way rather have... I would make this deal regardless, but if you could get Kyler, I'd prefer it with Kyler. But it seems like a very fair price point to trade up for Jacobs. Now, Hershey trading Hampton and Igbuka versus Lamar and Henderson. Give me Henderson over Igbuka and give me Lamar over Hampton. So, yeah, I would do it. Grand Lake Rock says their running backs at the moment are Dowdle, Scottaboo, and Caleb Johnson. Perfect way to take advantage of them. I mean, hey, 14-team format, right? Running back depth is going to be very difficult to come by. So, like, this is a trade that would never happen in a 10-team league, but if this is all they got in a 14-teamer, maybe they accept it. And, yeah, I'll take Daniels here. Ghost says, how to use vouchers? I don't see the option. So, if you use code FLOCK and you got a 2025 season pass, you should have vouchers in your account to send me a free start sit question, send me a free trade question. And it would just be when you go, if you just go ahead and put in like your starting lineup that you want, as long as you don't put anything in the text box, it will let you send it in for free. But if you didn't use code FLOCK when you signed up, you may not have the vouchers in your account. And if you need help with it, you can go ahead and send an email to support@flockfantasy.com. Now, running back, we have Travis Etienne and actually, dear God, I think we go Gibbs and Connor, and then we're going to have to choose between one of those other running backs. It's a great team. Wide receiver, we have Nico Collins. Tight end, we go Laporta. And then for the flex, it's definitely Etienne or Pollard. Looking at my rankings right now, I do have Tony Pollard ahead of him, but they are in the same tier. But the volume is just so good with Pollard until you get Spears back. Now, Ari Feet says, I hate my running backs. Can start running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends in the flexes. I would take... Do we go Kayshon Boutte here? Kayshon Boutte last week, great involvement in and out of the game with an injury, but still was able to rack up 82% of the snaps and 16 fantasy points. Quentin Johnston was the wide receiver 3 on the week last week with almost 25 points. RJ Harvey only played 30% of the snaps. So it feels like I got to tell you Johnston or Boutte. And as of now, I am very biased with this. Quentin Johnston's my most drafted player in Underdog best ball drafts, and I would love if we get a couple solid weeks out of him from here. So I don't know if I'm the right guy to listen to with this, but I'm going to say Quentin Johnston, but this could be just me wish casting it to happen. Now, Rick No Morty, we need a tight end between Harold Fannin and Kyle Pitts. It would have been Kyle Pitts at the beginning of the week for me, but now all of a sudden that you have Mooney and London both good to go, I'm less excited about it. I still probably am going to take Kyle Pitts because, again, the Browns offense projects to be the lowest scoring offense in the league, and I don't want to just start Harold Fannin coming off of one solid week if the offense is going to be garbage. But let me go ahead and sign out and sign back in so we can keep this show on the road. Let's go ahead and pull this up. And I'm going to pause the new questions coming in just for a little bit. Okay, but it looks like we had 500 likes, so please spam the chats, and we'd be happy to go ahead and set you up with some free questions. And by spam the chat, I mean drop your flockfantasy.com username in the chat. And then also the other thing to qualify for the free questions that we're doing every single day on the stream is to hit the like button and be subscribed to the channel. Again, we're giving away, I'm live streaming till Christmas every single day. Not going to miss a single day. We're going to be answering a ton of free questions. So you can see the majority of the questions we're answering in this stream are free submissions. So I'd be super happy to try to help you out the best that I can all year. All I ask from you is help us try to hit 3,000 subscribers. Never thought it could happen, but it looks like there's a real shot of it at this point. But let's send this over to Jake. And let me try to find you on the site here, my friend. Jake, and then we got Max as well. This is Jake Alvarez. Just found you and just sent you over a free start set. Let me send one over to Max too. Max just found you, just sent you over a free start sit. Let me send one over to another person. Here's D Treats. Found you and sent you over a free one as well. Okay. And let's move this over to our next question. Now this is in Dimitrov. Flex. We are going to go ahead. Full PPR format. I'm going to go Calvin Ridley. I know obviously we wanted nothing to do with Ridley last week. He had a really tough matchup against the Denver Broncos. But this one is a much better spot. Now, next man up, running back, we're going to go ahead. We will take... I'm going to go Trevion over Dobbins. We're already getting reports to expect the roles expanded. Then we'll go with Igbuka in the flex. Now, Heavy D says, appreciate you, my friend. We're going to go Justin Herbert over Bo Nix. Running back, give me Hampton and Brees. And in the flex, we're going to go with Chuba Hubbard. Just play all three running backs. Now, 4th and CM. Quarterback, give me Bo Nix over McCarthy. Tight end, give me Bowers now that he's playing. You can cut Juwan Johnson. And then for the flex, full PPR format, I'm going to go ahead and take Tet McMillan. Now, Dark says, got offered T or Garrett Wilson for Brees. Running backs are kind of thin, but it's a league in which you start 3 receivers in a flex. If you were to make this deal, we would have no running back 3. Roschon Johnson, it could be the 3rd running back on the Chicago Bears. So with the running back depth that we have, I would rather have Brees Hall over Garrett Wilson and T. Higgins. It's a fair offer, don't get me wrong. But if you're telling me like our running back 3 will be Roschon, you're putting yourself in a very compromising spot. Andrew, I would personally... Really the question here is like, do we take out Harold Fannin for Dylan Sampson? Which in my opinion, we would. I'd rather put Dylan Sampson in the flex and then Brock Bowers at tight end. Like Judkin's obviously good to go, but Harold Fannin should still at least give you the reception volume. Elias says non-PPR made this trade last night. Should we regret it? Non-PPR format, give me Bucky Irving over Devonta Smith. I think if this was a full PPR league, I would probably take the neighbor side. But non-PPR, getting the top end running back is just going to give you a significant advantage. So I think you're completely fine with it. Now, Eye Fire, this is Pollard and Jacoby. Oh, if this is a 1 quarterback format, I would way rather have Tony Pollard over Justin Herbert. Now, if this was a super flex league, give me the Justin Herbert side, but Calvin Austin's also legit 0. Now, 10 says 10-team PPR, need to drop 1 for Judkins. Please help. I cannot see your team, my friend. If you send it a super message, if you're in the chat right now and you want to ask me about it, I'd be happy to answer you. But a super message, I can't see anything linked. I'll send you over a free start set. But yeah, if you're in the chat. Thompson Mason, it's not letting me select you with my free voucher for a start set. Yeah, I have them turned off right now so we can just catch up on the ones that are submitted. And we'll turn them back on in a second. Now, DD, we need 2 for the flex. We're going to go Pickens and Hollywood Brown. If Purdy was going to go, I think you'd go with Pearsall with the Kittle injury. But I think you have the good quarterback play, and then you have consistent roles for Hollywood and Pickens. So we're going to roll with it. Now, AJ, this is Jalen Warren and Tyreek Hill versus Trevion and Terry McLaurin. I would way rather have Trevion here. I'd rather have Trevion over Tyreek at this point. I'd rather have Terry over Jalen Warren. So yeah, give me Trevion Henderson and Terry McLaurin. Now, Cronky Kong coming through. Quarterback, give me Lamar easily. Running back, give me ETN and CMC. And then right now in the flex, we have Higgins. Actually, no, you have Bijan Robinson. So go Bijan and ETN. And then in the flex, I'm going to go Travis Etienne over T. Higgins. I have both on my team, so I feel like I'm not too biased. And this is just an incredible roster. And then we have Trey McBride at tight end. How is this team real? Teresa, always happy to see you. And let me make sure that you always have enough questions here so you never have to pay for another one. I really appreciate you, and you know that. Let's send you over just a bunch of free stuff. Okay, so you should have a ton, like at least 6 free vouchers with your account. Here we need a flex between Wilson, Egbuka, and Devonta Smith. If you look at the projections, they do have Devonta Smith as the play in a game environment in which the Eagles are going to have to throw the ball. And at the same time, you have no Dallas Goedert. But I don't know if I could tell you to do so with confidence. Like, I would be scared. If we were looking at this, I would be scared to tell you Devonta Smith over Egbuka based off what happened last week. I think I'm going to be a monkey here and just go like, oh, let's go Egbuka. Let me think. I think we have to go. I'm going to go with Egbuka. I'd be too scared to tell you Devonta Smith. Maybe somebody that was really sharp could just completely remove the bias from it and go, well, you know what? Egbuka is in an offense that projects to be worse, projects to be in a worse game environment. And at the same time, you're looking at him coming off a game with only 4 receptions. But for me, I don't have the mental toughness to do it. I'm just going to go ahead and I'll just take him. Now, Teresa says, would you switch anybody out at receiver? Actually, that's a good point. Thank you for pointing that out to me. I'd probably go Garrett Wilson and Justin Jefferson. I'd bench Zay Flowers here, I think. Flowers was a really compelling start last week because it was a game environment in which there should have been a lot of points scored, and the Bills were going to make the Ravens throw the ball. But here, now that you're in a spot that we can't assume that's going to happen, I would be fine going ahead and benching Zay Flowers, where last week, obviously, you had to play him. Now, Lord's Child coming through with our next one. Running back, give me Achane and Trevion. Wide receiver, give me JSN and Lamb. Tight end, give me McBride. And then for the flex, we're going to go ahead and we're going to take T-Mac. Okay, so now our next question is going to be coming out from Cody. Says, I'm loaded on receivers and need help at quarterback. Is this worth it? No. If you wanted to trade something for Lamar, I do this trade with Brian Thomas, but I think Justin Jefferson's just a different tier. I don't think you can make this trade. And I'm 100% team like overpay for an elite quarterback in your format, but I think Jefferson's too much of an overpay. Now, Ire Fire says, I have Lawrence and Myers, my QB, Sutton Adams, and Lamb. Yeah, this would be a horrible trade for a quarterback. Do not do this. Like, you'd be way overpaying for Baker Mayfield, where I don't know if Baker Mayfield is that much of an improvement over the playing the matchup tier quarterbacks. Obviously, it was last year, but I think you expect that we're going to get some regression, and you don't have that same type of rushing upside that you get with the true elite names. So, yeah. Please keep CeeDee Lamb. Now, RVPG says, who am I flexing? Do I need to down for a stream tight end? Well, let's see. Running back, give me Chase Brown, Bucky Irving. Wide receiver, give me Lamb and Igbuka. Tight ends, I wouldn't cut Loveland. We're going to flex Kayshon Boutte. So I guess you play Loveland. Loveland, I would really not want to start. I don't want to cut him just because rest of season you have a really high ceiling. But if you look at what we have in the short term with Loveland, like he played 53% of the snaps last week. He only ran 19 routes. So I'm definitely not that excited about Loveland, if I'm going to be honest. But I don't know if I could tell you to cut him. Like, what's funny is Kayshon Boutte would be the guy that I'd cut here, but fact of the matter is I think you actually have to start him. So I think you're just going to roll with the punches and send up a prayer that they use Loveland more this week than they did last week. Now, our next question is going to be coming out from Not Versi. Says, still do despite my wide receiver. I'm convinced someone despite the ads. Thanks as always. Congrats on the engagement. Thank you so much. I would way rather have Lamar over Higgins. And now that you have the Jaden Reed injury, I think the Matthew Golden route participation goes up. Obviously, he's only combined for 4 targets over the past 2 weeks, so it's not super compelling. But you do have the round 1 NFL draft capital. It's been the first 2 weeks of his NFL career. Now with the Jaden Reed injury, I think that you're in a pretty good spot to just assume that he does start getting involved in this offense more, because I don't know if they have another option. But yeah, so definitely go with the Lamar side, in my opinion. I think Lamar is a different tier than Mahomes. Mother Flocka with our next one. We go with Travis Etienne at running back, highest scoring game environment. For that same reason, we play T. Higgins. I'm going to go with Igbuka as the other receiver until we get Godwin back. And then between Hampton versus T-Mac, it's a full PPR format, so it's not the easiest call. Like, realistically, I really do like Hampton, and I want to be on the Hampton side, because if we go through and if we look at what we had with him last week, you had 1 touch going over to Najee, and for that reason, I will take him. You have a really good projection here for that Raiders offense too. Now, CMC, quarterback, I'm going to go Dak over Michael Penix, and then in the flex, we're going to go ahead and we'll take Swift versus Marv's. Not super easy. I'm going to go with Marv, but you had no running back other than DeAndre Swift logging a carry for the Bears last week. So it was exciting to see what you had from DeAndre Swift, to be honest. Okay. Now let's move this over. Super Gremlin, trade in HN and Marv for Hampton and Brian Thomas. HN to Hampton down tier, Marv to Brian Thomas up tier. I think most people in the chat would say you go with the Marv side, because Marv is the guy on this list, the only real player on this list that scored points last week. But for me, I think that this is personal preference. I think that this is going to be up to you. Like, I'm not going to fault you one way or another. I do think HN's the best player in the deal. But I'd also say that Marv's probably the worst player in the deal. But in general, we kind of want to be siding with the best player. Now, Luke coming through. Running back, we're going to play. I'm going to go Jordan Mason over Jalen Warren at this point. Wide receiver, give me Mike Evans. Tight end, Brock Bowers looks like he'll be good to go. And then for the flex, give me Ricky Pearsall with no Kittle and with a banged up Jennings. Now, Lord's Child trading Ricky Pearsall for Rashee Rice. Yeah, definitely give me Rice here. And a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex. So we can wait for Rice to come back. Now, Zecker Knockers. Here, running back, give me Pollard over Etienne. But in the flex, we're going to play Etienne regardless. I'm starting both these running backs myself this week. I think both players should be viewed as must-start options. Let me refresh this and bring up some more questions. Okay. Now, it's Manny with our next one. This is Bo Nix, Ashton Genty versus Joe Burrow and Derrick Henry. And it looks like we actually may be able to turn the questions back on in a second. Looks like we've caught up, which is nice. But here, give me Henry over Genty and give me Burrow over Nix. So assuming this is a redraft format, I think we're going to go with the Joe Burrow, Derrick Henry side easily. I understand that, yeah, you had a very disappointing performance from Joe Burrow in this Bengals offense week 1. But fact of the matter is, we've seen that a lot from them. And at the same time, we've had for them to struggle at the beginning of the season. And the projections right now do actually have them currently projected to be the second highest scoring offense in the league this week. So I think you do get a nice little Joe Burrow bounce back. Now, Max says, need to pick 2 between Coleman, McMillan, and Etienne. I'm going to go Etienne. And then if we had to pick another guy, it would be like, yeah, here at wide receiver, Tet. Yeah, very easily Tet and Etienne for me. I really hope Keon Coleman comes out here and crushes the way that he did week 1. But I really wouldn't expect the Buffalo Bills to be forced to throw the ball as much as they did against the Baltimore Ravens. Like, the Jets aren't going to be able to keep up like that. Now, R3D Zilla. Here in the flex, the best option to get in the lineup would probably be Shakir, but I'm not playing Shakir over any of these names. So I think, yeah, you probably leave this as is. Now, Adam, always happy to see it, says Hurts, Chuba, Swift, Lamb, Nico, Ferg, Sutton, Boswell versus Herbert, Montgomery, Warren, Chase, Zay, Trey, AJ Brown, Fairbairn, full PPR. Who wins? I'll be completely honest with you, Chief. I am not going to be able to have any good takes or any solid projections when it comes to what we have with these kickers. So I'm going to just almost completely ignore the kicker portion of this. Would I rather have Jalen Hurts or Justin Herbert? Give me Jalen Hurts. Chuba Hubbard versus David Montgomery. Chuba Hubbard. DeAndre Swift versus Jalen Warren. DeAndre Swift. CeeDee Lamb versus Chase. Tomato. Nico versus Zay. Give me Nico. Ferg versus Trey. Give me Trey. Sutton versus AJ Brown. Give me AJ Brown. I think the first team probably is winning in the majority of the spots. Losing at wide receiver 2. Losing at the flex. But all in all, I think that that's probably the team that you'd expect to come away with the win. But again, I mean, I can tell you what teams these kickers play for. I know that. I know the base minimum, but I don't know much more than that, to be honest with you. Now, Moo with our next question. Here we need 2 receivers. We have Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas as auto starts. And then there in the flex, we're going to go with Igbuka this week. We'll probably be going with Tet McMillan rest of season. But I think we go with Igbuka for now until we get Chris Godwin back in. Now, I think I pulled McCaff. Fields versus Baker. If it's a 4-point passing touchdown format, give me Fields. 6-point, give me Baker. And then for the flex, I'm going to go ahead and play Travis Etienne. Right now, the Bengals-Jags game has the highest over-under of any game in the NFL this week. So in general, as a rule of thumb, I think if you're debating between a Bengal, a Jag, or a different team, you're going to go ahead and you're going to take the players in the Bengals-Jags game. Now, our next question coming out from LG Epovitz. Aaron Jones, JSN versus Etienne, Trey Benson, Terry McLaurin. I have Etienne on my own team. Looking at what we have at running back right now, we have McCaffrey and then the Minnesota guys. So for me, I'll say in a vacuum, the Jackson Smith and Jigba side is the winning deal here, at least in my opinion. I think if I had to come through and if I had to pick a singular spot, it would be JSN. However, looking at your team specifically, I understand making the play to go and get the running back. I understand it. So I wouldn't fault you if you wanted to make this pivot. Okay. So let's move this over to our next one. This next one's going to be from Widow. Assuming we need 2 receivers, 2 running backs, and a flex. Running back, give me Kamara and Taylor. Wide receiver, give me Chase and Wilson. For the flex, give me probably Brees, and then tight end, we're going to go Bowers, and you could cut Michael Mayer. And then Ismail, I think I would rather have Ferg rest of season there. Okay. Looking at this from X-Man says, had to start sit earlier this stream and wanted to know if you saw that I had Marvin Harrison on my team. Let me go ahead and see if I can find you this. X-Man, are you in the chat right now? And can you tell me who I told you to play? If you tell me who I told you to play, I'll let you know. Okay. And as I wait for X-Man, we can go ahead and turn the questions back on the site because it does look like we are somewhat close to catching up on these. Looks like we have like 5 start set questions to get back to. And then we have the roster reviews. So we can turn the questions back on. So questions are back on. He said something. X-Men says, you put Chuba over Marv. I think I would rather have Chuba over Marv. Let me go ahead and look this up real quick. Like with Marv in that game, you assume that they just go through and they're able to effectively run the ball. I know in my flex rankings in the video yesterday, we did put Marv over Hubbard. I think I was just wrong. I think I was just excited because Marv scored the touchdown last week and looked really exciting, and obviously is the big name. I would rather have Marv rest of season over the veteran RB, but it's not like Marv had a ton of volume last week either. Like you still actually had the majority of the volume going to Trey McBride specifically. But yeah, let me send you over a couple of free questions. I feel bad that you sent this in. And it looks like we had 600 likes in the stream, so we'll send some free questions to people in the chat. To qualify for free questions, all you got to do is make sure that you are subscribed to the channel. We are giving away a ton of free questions every single day. You can tell that the majority of the questions that I answer on every stream are the free questions. And also make sure that you drop your flockfantasy.com username in the chat, and we'll go ahead and pick some of y'all. And every 100 likes we hit, we give away free questions. Now, punt with a start sit. Here for the flex, I would probably keep Jordan Mason in here. Kayshon Boutte's interesting to possibly swap him with. But no, I think we probably leave this as is. I was interested to see how much higher the projections were on Jordan Mason than Aaron Jones this week. Shiesty trading Mahomes, Judy, Keon for Bo Nix and Rice. Mahomes, Bo Nix, tomato, Judy, and Keon versus Rice. It's a start 8 format. While we'd wait for Rice to be back, we'd be starting Lamb, Debo, Metcalf. Then I don't think you have enough depth. I think you have to hold on to the Mahomes side here. Maybe if you could keep Keon Coleman and you were just trading Mahomes and Judy for Nix and Rice, I would definitely do that. Or if this was a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league, I'd make this trade. But if this is a start 8 format, I think you want the package. But let me pick a couple people to give some free questions to. We got this one. This is Dr. Dre. send you over a free start sit, my friend. Thank you so much for hanging out with us on the stream. Dr. Dre just found you and just sent you over that free start sit. And see you, Vincent. Let's send this over to you. Snooze, you lose. Just sent you over that free start sit as well. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us in the chat. And we'll give away some more free questions in a second. Okay. Let's go over to Jake Alvarez says, I had the 5 for 5 trade earlier. Let me know what you think. So now left over, we have Adams, wide receiver 2. So we are in on the Rams offense, which isn't the worst thing in the world. We're going to go Javonte at running back this week. And then full PPR format, I'd probably go Hollywood. Long term, you have Trevion. So when you have a good team, don't get me wrong. You have a great team, honestly. If you have Gibbs, Gente, and Puka. Yeah, you have a great team if you have Gibbs, Gente, Puka. Now, GX Ghost is trading James Conner, Mike Evans for Travis Etienne, Tet, and Keon. Evans to Etienne downgrade, Connor to, or let's go Connor to Etienne upgrade, Evans to Tet downgrade. Feel like that's an even swap. If you're getting Keon Coleman for free, we'll go with the Keon side. I think the Evans side looks like it probably is going to be the winner in the short term, though, until you get Godwin back. Now, Young Merc with this next question. Here for the flex, I'm going to go ahead and play Travis Etienne. Again, no Tank Bigsby. I think we assume that he's the 3-down running back, while at the same time, you have the highest projected game total in the entire league this week. So I think we're going to go ahead and take Travis Etienne. Okay. Now let's move this over. Let's refresh this. So we have some more questions coming in. This one from CPF. This is Kyron versus London. This is a league in which you can start up to 4 receivers weekly. It looks like we're okay with our running back depth. So with your league settings, definitely give me London. Now, B. Johnson, this is Metcalf versus Igbuka. I'd rather have Igbuka at this point. I don't think it's that far off. Like, I have Metcalf in the Flock League. It's not like I wouldn't bother offering him for Igbuka because I'm just assuming it would get rejected, to be honest. Graph with our next one. Quarterback, we have Fields versus Kyler. I'm going to go ahead. I will take Kyler. And then tight end between Harold Fannin and Mark Andrews. I know people are going to hate this because Andrews did absolutely nothing last week. Harold Fannin's the exciting rookie. But until we get Isaiah Likely back in, or at least until we see another week from Harold Fannin, I'm going to take Andrews here. I mean, if we're looking at what we have with the projections, currently the Baltimore Ravens project to be the highest scoring offense in the league this week, whereas the Cleveland Browns project to be the lowest scoring offense. Now, Clax 1K with our next one. Here we have probably the best option on our bench being Metcalf or Swift, and honestly, we're not swapping out either guy for. Obviously, I'd like to get into Time Machine and see if we could get Deebo Samuel in here, but I think we leave this as is, and you could honestly kind of afford to upgrade at quarterback. Now, Evan trading Ladd and Ferg for Bucky and Hawkinson. I would rather have Hawk over Ferg and rather have Bucky over Ladd. It's kind of easy for the Bucky side here. Tommy for the flex, we're looking at Rome and Hollywood. I think we're going to go ahead and take Hollywood Brown. Now, Jake says, chat, is this Cindy? Good luck in the Flock League. Now, this one's tough, right? Because we go ahead and we look at this, and I would way rather have Kyle Pitts over Bijan Robinson. I would way rather have Kyle Pitts over Drake London. I would way rather have Kyle Pitts over Brian Thomas. And I'd way rather have him over Amari and Hampton. But when you put all four of these players on one side, it definitely becomes a little bit closer. Like if I saw somebody send, like in the Flock League, right, Kyle Pitts for Brian Thomas, it would be like, or Bijan Robinson, we'd veto it. It's like, no way you could sell Kyle Pitts at such a low price tag. But if they add all these other pieces, it's definitely a lot more interesting. I'd probably go ahead and take the Kyle Pitts side of this, but it's close. It's close. Now, Chubby says, anyone I should be trying to trade? Thanks. Thank you, my friend. Here for the flex, you're going to play Kayshon Boutte, and I don't know who could you trade to get value out of here? No, you're sitting on your hands, and you're hoping that Joe Mixon comes back to save the team, and you're working the waiver wire like a madman. But having CMC, Puka, and Josh Allen on the same team puts you in a good starting spot. Now, unlawful wheel with our next one. Running back, I hate to say it, but you probably play Pacheco over Chubb in a PPR league. At least Pacheco may have one reception. Chubb's going to have none. Here, looking at what we have for wide receivers, CeeDee Lamb being the auto start, tight ends, I would go Harold Fannin over Loveland this week. Would rather have Loveland rest of season. For the flexes, we go Waddle and Olave, and I don't think that's too tough. Jedi Master with the start sits. As of now, we have Ricky Pearsall as the best option on the bench, and honestly, I think we'd leave Pearsall there. Quarterback, I would strongly consider putting Bo Nix over Trevor Lawrence. Again, I understand the appeal with Lawrence, just given the phenomenal matchup that you have going up against Cincinnati. But I still do have Bo Nix ahead of him. With Bo Nix, you have some sneaky rushing upside as well. Now, Flung Shui, this is a super flex league. So we're going to go Lawrence and Caleb, given the matchups this week. And then for the flex, we're going to go ahead and we're going to play Cortland Sutton. I mean, Sutton to come through in a big way, even in a garbage Bo Nix performance last week, just kind of goes to show you his floor. And then obviously you have a crazy high ceiling if you were to get a Bo Nix bounce back, which I think is going to end up happening. Epis, I don't see what you intended to put on the other side, so I'm going to send you over a free trade question because I don't know what we're trading Javonte and Kenneth Walker for. Now, Brandon says, need help deciding quarterback. Leaning Trevor. I picked up Schultz at tight end with the Kittle injury. Fannin and Johnny on the waiver wire. Should I make a move? Okay, let me send you over some free questions, my guy. I really appreciate you. So, quarterback, I would go with Lawrence over Stroud as well. I just really like the matchup and the game environment here. There's a much higher total and a much higher over-under here for the Jags game than there is for the Texans. Looking at tight end, Schultz is fine. Like, I would definitely prefer Harold Fannin, though. And then for the flex, we're going to go ahead and we're going to take Chris Olave with this being a full PPR format and you just getting the safe baseline of volume that we should expect. So I would go with Olave here. Now, Logan with the trade, sending Hampton and JSN for Jahmyr Gibbs. So 2 wide receiver, 1 flex. Afterwards at receiver, we'd have Jefferson, DJ Moore, Keon Coleman, and Quentin Johnston. It's a fair deal, don't get me wrong. If it was a double flex format, I would definitely want the package. If it's a single flex league, you could talk me into either side here. I don't think your wide receiver room's like that good. If you wanted to wait a week to just get confirmation that Keon Coleman can be trusted and then go make that play, I think if we just waited a week, we'd feel a little more comfortable. Because I don't need to make that deal and then all of a sudden like be desperate for a wide receiver. Now, Rhino 1G trading away Spears, Pollard, and Rome for JSN. Is this a dynasty league, really? I'm assuming this is not actually a dynasty league. Actually, it is. Look at how deep the rosters are. This is a dynasty format. This is Jackson Smith and Jigba, and it's not even remotely close. This is a dynasty league. The Tennessee running backs are effectively nothing. Like, yeah, you for sure want to go and get JSN here. Let me refresh and see if we can find some more questions. Now, Peculiarly says, I'm guessing Superflex, Danny Dimes, and Flex Swift. Yeah, definitely put Danny Dimes. And then if you really flex Tucker Kraft, great call. And then, yeah, you have to flex Swift over RJ Harvey. I think Harvey's better in the long term in Dynasty, of course, but in the short term, he played 30% of the snaps, and Swift had every single carry in his backfield but one. Now, Mass Mayhem, we're going to be going with Kyler over Baker. Running back, give me Pollard. Wide receiver, Lamb, London, and Ricky Pearsall. Tight ends, Ferg, and then there for the flex, we're going to go ahead and we're going to take the 3-down back with Chuba. Tommy says, I have Bo Nix, Hunter Henry, CMC, Ladd, JSN, Kelsey, and J-Mo Godwin. I would say in general, give me Tyreek. Especially if you have Godwin, we're already waiting for Godwin to come back. I do think that we get a slight bounce back from the Dolphins offense this week. Kittle is trading Lamb and Kittle for Puka, Diggs, and Mason. Lamb and Puka, tomato for me. Kittle versus Diggs and Jordan Mason. I'd rather have George Kittle unless you are desperate for depth. So I think I'd probably prefer the CD Lamb side. Now let's refresh this. I think we can go back over to the team reviews. But you snooze, you lose. Here at running back, give me Kamara over Hampton. Wide receiver, give me Tet. Tight end, give me Kincaid. And then flex, give me Hampton. Definitely a lot more excited about Devonta Smith this week, though, than we were. And Slasher O, running back, we're going to go with the combo of Swift and Trevion. And then for the flex, give me Ricky Pearsall over Rome with no Kittle. And let me pull up some team reviews and let me know whenever we hit, I think the next mark on the stream for us to give out free questions is, let me triple check. What are we at now? That's what I thought. When we hit 700 likes, please let me know in the chat so I can be reminded that we got to give out some free questions. Okay, but let's go ahead and let's look at this. We got to find the non-dynasty ones. Looks like we have a ton of dynasty team reviews we got to get through. So Lando will be this next team review. Really appreciate you, my friend. And says, make Flock into an app. We possibly can. We possibly can. The thing is, there's just other stuff that we're working on before we... Like, the devs only have so much time in a day, right? And I only have so much money to pay so many developers. So we gotta... So we got other things we got to work on, but eventually we could make it into an app. But congrats on the engagement, brother. Longtime fan, 6+ years. That is insane, my guy. Thank you so much, says. 7-year league. What are we doing? Needing running backs, but banking on Judkins. No one will trade. So let me send you over some free questions. This is a league in which you can get 4 wide receivers into your starting lineup. So you're in a pretty comfortable spot there. We are currently looking at really strong running backs on the waiver wire. So I think that you're going to be fine here. I agree like this with the sentiment. Like, hey, our wide receiver position's so strong. Quarterback, we have the elite name. Like, so we would like to upgrade running back. Like, we're first in the league analyzer at receiver. We're fourth at quarterback. We're third at tight end. We're seventh at running backs. Running back would be our weak spot. But I mean, I will say that we are in a really, really strong spot here, right? Did we win week 1? Yeah, we're 1-0 at the moment. So the first thing that I would do in your league, especially if you're saying that your league mates aren't going to be active trading, is I would go through and I would optimize the bottom end of our roster to hopefully get some upside when it comes to what we have at running back. Now, based on the quarterback position that's available, you do have like Caleb, Stroud, Michael Penix. Like, you have viable QBs on waivers, and we have the elite quarterback with Jalen Hurts. So I think what we could potentially look at doing here would be actually dropping the backup quarterback to open up another roster spot for us to be able to just roster a running back that's an injury away from turning into a league winner. So like for me, I think we could go ahead, cut Drake May and pick up Caleb Johnson. I would also be willing to cut Kareem Hunt and pick up Cam Scadaboo with the expectations that we would expect the rookie to continue to expand his role as time goes on and possibly get better as time goes on. And then we would still have Jalen Hurts that we can start every single week, regardless of the matchup. So he would still be in a really comfortable spot there. Looking at what we have at running back, and I know we hit 700 likes in the stream, so I'll give away those free questions in a second. Looking at what we have at running back, we have LaGente, Tony Pollard. We have Jordan Mason, Judkins. So here's my thing. In the short term, you're great at running back. And the reason for that is Tony Pollard is a 3-down running back until we get Spears back in. But if Spears comes back in week 5, if Spears comes back in week 6, then at that point, we can hope that we actually get a couple of these running backs breaking out, whether that's Judkins, whether that's Caleb Johnson, whether that's Cam Scadaboo, whether that's Tyler Algier. We will have the outs for that to happen. So you're fine at running back in the short term, to be honest. So cut May, cut Hunt, pick up Caleb Johnson, pick up Cam Scadaboo. It's a league in which you can start up the 4 wide receivers weekly, so I'm fine with us rostering Kayshon Boutte here. If this was a league in which you only started 2 wide receivers and 1 flex, I would also cut Boutte for Tyler Algier, but your league, I think we leave this as is. Because looking at receiver, we have Lamb, Ladd, Debo, DJ Moore, Pittman, the worthy injury. We're fine. And then tight end Sam Laporta looks like he's back to being Sam Laporta. Then going over and looking at what we have with the options on waivers at wide receiver. I love your team. I think you're in a really good spot. I think we roster as many of these running backs on the bench as we possibly can. And if Tony Pollard falls flat on his face once we end up getting back in, say, Tajee Spears, then at that point, we can go ahead and we can look at trading maybe a wide receiver, especially if Xavier Worthy's coming back in, trading like Debo Samuel and Pollard to try to go get a running back upgrade. But the fact of the matter is I probably would not be wanting to do that right now. But I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this. And let me make sure I sent you over we sent you over those free questions. I wish I had a bunch of trades for you to make, but you do not need to stress whatsoever about making trades with how strong your team is, especially if you're telling me that your league mates are kind of difficult to make trades with in the first place. But I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out, my guy. And let's go ahead and let's give away those free questions. Like I said, to qualify for the free questions, all you got to do is drop a like on the live stream, be subscribed to the channel. And then I'd highly recommend hitting the bell next to the subscribe button so YouTube tells you when we go live. And then drop your flockfantasy.com username in the chat, and we'll go ahead and we'll pick some of y'all out. Okay. We got unused cow. Let's go ahead and see if I can find you on the site. And just got you, my guy, and just sent you over those free, just sent you over that free start set. Let me find somebody else as well. We got Chuck Kun. Let's see if I can find you. Just found you and just sent you over that free start set as well. Thank you so much for hanging out with us in the stream. And let me go through, dive into our next question here. And we will then give away some more free questions once we hit 800 likes in the stream. So if you haven't already, go down there, hit that like button. Now, 10 minutes says, hey, Mason, longtime listener. Appreciate you, my guy. Any trade suggestions / improvements? I've been contemplating possibly Neighbors or London for a wide receiver and running back to upgrade RB2. So I'm going to say right now, before we even look at your team, based off this being a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex format, in general, I'm not a massive fan of giving up the best player in down tiering. Of course, that's not going to be the case always. Sometimes it will make sense, but that's never really going to be my plan A here. But also thinking about a quarterback upgrade, going to drop one of the tight ends after this week to see how things go, then drop or try trade depending on how they do. So let's go ahead and let's dive into this. So we are the 5th team in the league analyzer. So we have Mark Andrews, Harold Fannin, and Juwan Johnson. So for me, you have a tight end that we can start in the short term, right? I think Andrews is probably somebody that we are going to start this week. The Ravens project to be the highest scoring offense in the league, while at the same time, you have no Isaiah Likely. Now, with that being said, if we were rostering these tight ends down here at the bottom end of the bench, I like going with the players that have the long-term upside. So I would go ahead. I would cut Juwan Johnson. I would pick up Loveland. I think Loveland has more upside by far than any other player currently on your bench. And then also, I may consider just dropping Harold Fannin, depending on the other players that we have available to us on the waiver wire. Which, looking at the other options on waivers, they aren't phenomenal. So I think you are fine leaving Fannin here if you wanted. Now, looking at what we have with the running backs on waivers, we do have the premium handcuff, where at this point we can say that Tank Bigsby is probably going to be somebody you can't trust outside of the instance in which we get an injury to Saquon Barkley. But if that were to occur, then at that point, he kind of does turn into a league winner. So I think when it comes to waiver wire moves, I would just consider dropping Juwan Johnson, picking up Loveland, and then at that point after this week, determining which of the 3 tight ends you want to send back over to the waiver wire. Now, looking at what we have at quarterback, we have Fields. A 12-team format, Fields going to be fine, right? I'm not going to sit here and act like Fields is phenomenal, but I'm not going to act like he's a problem. Running back, Bucky, solid RB1. Javonte, solid RB2. Pacheco, Ray Davis, Rashad White, quality depth pieces. It's a league in which you only insert 2 wide receivers, 1 flex, so the Xavier Worthy injury doesn't kill us. We're starting Neighbors, London, then Pickens in the flex. We have Waddle on the bench. and then hopefully Worthy coming back in the long term. So in terms of trades that you can make with this team, realistically speaking, I don't think you are looking to do really anything until you end up getting Xavier Worthy back in. Like trying to think of a trade that could make sense. Like you're not getting Waddle. You're not getting anything for Waddle right now. You're not getting anything for George Pickens right now. So if you were to sell somebody, realistically, like the piece that you're moving off of would be like Drake London. And if you were trading Drake London, you could go like London and Pacheco and try to go over and get like Ashton Genty, which maybe in the long term is something that we explore. But in the short term, it's just going to be difficult to leave your wide receiver position with that kind of mess, considering the fact that we have no Xavier Worthy. Once we get Worthy, then obviously things can be a little bit different and we can be more excited about it. But I think you're going to need Worthy back in before we look to make that trade. So I know we're saying a lot of words. We're not really helping out with much. The main thing that I want to point out here is with your team, I think you're in a situation where we should be cutting Johnson, picking up Loveland, and then at that point after week 2, determining which of the 2 out of the 3 tight ends you want to hold on to and letting go of the third and picking up whatever running back we like off waivers. And then once Worthy comes back in, then we can I expect to trade a wide receiver for somebody else. But I really appreciate you and really do hope I was able to help you out in some way with this, my friend. Now, let's move this over to our next one. Actually, let me make sure. Did we send 10 man the free questions? I don't know, but we're going to send more anyway, just in case we didn't. Okay. So you should either have at least 2 free questions on your account or 4 questions. And yeah, just follow up with anything that you want. Now, Jatan says, hey, Mason, anything I can do with the team? We are currently 3rd in the analyzer. It's a league in which you can start 4 wide receivers weekly, so the skill positional depth is going to be more important. So quarterback, we have Burrow. I think Bo Nix is probably a quarterback that's too good to be out there on the waiver wire. But with that being said, like, obviously we don't necessarily need him if we have Burrow. Looking at the other QBs on waivers, you have like Love, McCarthy, Purdy. So if you know your league mates and you know that you could potentially flip Burrow or Bo Nix for something in 2 to 3 weeks, I would drop Deonta Thornton and I'd pick up Bo Nix. Going over and looking at running back, we have Breece, Trevion, Dillon, Sampson. So in general, running back's the weakest part of our team. Wide receiver's the strongest, not even close. Running back's the weakest. But wide receiver depth matters. We can start up to 4 wide receivers weekly. If this was a league in which you only started 2 wide receivers in a flex, I would say, yeah, let's trade Drake London and Breece Hall and go get a true elite level running back. But if we can start 4 wide receivers here a week, I want to hold on to these 4 receivers. I'll be fine being weak at running back if it means we have the best wide receiver 1 in the league, best wide receiver 2 in the league, best wide receiver 3, and wide receiver 4 in the league. Going over and looking at tight end, we have Loveland. So I would honestly consider dropping Harold Fannin for Loveland. I'm not even going to say I'd consider. I would. So I think your team is situated very well for the format that you're playing in. If this was a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league, I'd say, you know what, man, this kind of sucks. You really got to sell London. You got to upgrade at RB. But here I like building around the strength at wide receiver. So I would just go ahead. I would cut Loveland. I'd cut Fannin, pick up Loveland. I would cut Thornton, and I'd pick up Bo Nix, and then hope that we get a big Bo Nix bounce back where we can eventually sell Bo Nix for a profit. Or Joe Burrow. Either one, to be honest. But I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way with that. But I think your team's situated well for your format. Now, SSL95 says 12-team full PBR, double flex, 6 bench spots. What do you think of the team? I traded Kyron and Flowers for London and Swift earlier this week. I like that move a lot, especially in a double flex full PPR. We are wide receiver factory. We are the second team in the league at wide receiver, which in general, again, similar to what we saw with the team before this, a league in which you can start up to 4 wide receivers weekly. That's a full PPR format. I really do like building around wide receiver the way that you are. Like, we can start Chase, London, Marv, Debo here every single week. Now, looking at what we have available to us on the waiver wire at running back, like, realistically, if Alec Manners are wide receiver 6, I think maybe the premium handcuff back with DJ Giddens would be more likely to make an impact. Like, if we get an injury to Jonathan Taylor, I think realistically speaking, we could just absolutely jam in Giddens in a way that we maybe wouldn't be able to say about Alec Manor at any point. Even though he looked really good week 1, don't get me wrong. Looking at quarterback, we have Herbert McCarthy. Completely fine to play the matchups between these two guys. We have Hampton, Pollard, DeAndre Swift, so 3 quality RBs. I would personally consider dropping Kyle Monangai for DJ Giddens if you don't want to drop A.O. Manor. While I understand, yes, that we have DeAndre Swift, and while Kyle Monangai more likely than not's the RB2, you do have an outside chance that it's Roschon and that just Roschon wasn't healthy this past week, and maybe that's why Monangai had the volume. Obviously, Jalen Coker would be a very easy drop if he was on our actual roster, but I'm assuming he's on the IR. I don't think you need a roster of 2 tight ends. Even though, like, obviously looking at David Njoku, we're not excited about Njoku. Don't get me wrong. I think long-term, if we could make a trade for a tight end, that'd be great. In general, because it's a league in which the skill positional depth matters, like, we don't necessarily need to make that trade, but I mean, if you could move London for Bowers, London for I wouldn't even say that. If you can move London for Bowers, if you could move like Judy and Njoku for Kittle and then stream tight ends and pick up like Jonnu, like really tight ends garbage. But because you can start 4 wide receivers here weekly, I don't think you need to make that play. But the main thing I would want to do would be upgrade at tight end, because David Njoku at this point looks to be potentially the second fiddle at the tight end position in the worst offense in the NFL. And then is there anything else that we could possibly say with this team? Top 3 in the analyzer, built around wide receiver. League is situated in a way which we should prioritize wide receivers. Plenty of depth at running back. We want to make the small pivot, cut Monangai, pick up DJ Giddens. We cut Jalen Coker if he was actually on the roster. I'd rather have like Luther Burden, but I'm assuming he's on the IR. If Luther Burden looks to have a role in Chicago this week, I'd cut Alec for him after the week. But obviously, I'm completely fine if you want to roster Alec Manor as of now. And then, yeah, if you could move like London for Bowers, with Bowers looking healthy. Or like if you could go like Marv and Njoku for Bowers, Marv and Njoku for McBride, that'd be an absolute no-brainer. But I'm assuming those get rejected. But that would probably be the first thing I would send out. But I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way here. And again, thank you so much, of course, for being a member of the flock, my guy. And again, really appreciate you. And I sent you over some free questions as well if there's anything that you want to follow up with. But let me move this over and let's get to some of the quick questions, and then we'll dive into those other team reviews. Let's refresh this. Come on. Filter out the team reviews for me. Let's go like this. Do we need to log out, log back in? Yeah, that's what we need to do. Ryan says, what's the main differences between the season pass and the annual mother flocker? So the season pass, you are going to get, let me see if I need to mark this as complete for, I don't think we do. But the season pass, you get access until January 1st. Annual mother flocker, you get access 365 days a year. And with the annual mother flocker, you get as well a free team review every year. So I would recommend the season pass if you're like, hey man, I really just need to use the website for the tools during the redraft season. I just play in like an ESPN league that I'll be in for the next 3 months. But if you play in a so I would recommend the season pass to the majority of people here. If you play in a dynasty league, I would highly recommend the annual mother flocker because then you're going to need access to the site year round. Or if you really wanted a team review, there's definitely no reason you would ever buy the team review outright. I would definitely recommend getting the annual mother flocker in that case if you're planning on buying a team review, just because it'd be cheaper that way. But for the majority of y'all, I think the season pass would probably be better than the annual mother flocker unless you really wanted a team review. Or again, unless you play in a dynasty league or you draft in best ball in the offseason. Now, Lucky Luke here, go Justin Herbert over Justin Fields, in my opinion. Running back, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take Tracy for the time being. Flex, we're going to play Hollywood Brown and then I guess Jordan Mason. It is going to be very interesting to see what the split is week 2 with the Minnesota backs. Badabuski says, hate the team, no idea where to start. So wide receiver, you play Igbuka at the 2 spot for sure. Tight end, I would take I would take Kincaid over Njoku and Juwan. And then for the flexes, I'm going to go ahead and I would play the combo of DJ Moore and Travis Hunter. But I know a lot of people here would go with Keon Coleman. I would rather just see it one more week from Keon. Eric says, does the season pass also give a free team review? No, it does not. The season pass gives a free start sit, free trade question vouchers, but it doesn't. The only thing that gives the free team review is annual mother flocker. But I mean, you would see all this information on the subscribe page. It's all listed out there for you. Now, ladies man, with our next question. And again, regardless of whatever you get, make sure you use code FLOCK. And then I'll be responsible for answering the questions for you. Now, ladies man, here at quarterback, give me, honestly, Bo Nix Fields is tough. We're going to skip by that. Gibbs and CMC is easy. Wide receiver, JSN and AJ Brown, easy. Tight end, Tyler Warren, easy to play. T. Higgins. It really comes down to Bo Nix versus Justin Fields. I know based off last week, you had Justin Fields running laps around Bo Nix, but that's a 1-week sample in comparison to what we've had with these players through their entire NFL careers. Where did I put them in my rankings this week? I put Fields at 8. I put Bo Nix at 11. They're in the same tier. I think it is up to you. If it's a 6-point passing touchdown format, give me Bo. 4-point, give me Fields. Jack, give me Drake May over McCarthy. Wide receiver, give me Tet. Actually, I thought I was going to be able to play both guys. I think we'll go Adams over Tet, and then because I don't think we can get Tet in the flex spot. Instead, I think we're going to have to play Kamara Etienne's tough in a half PPR format. I think we go Kamara, but it's pretty close. Box Papa here for the flex. I'm going to go ahead. I will take Jalen Waddle. So this is something that, of course, I'm an idiot. I have no idea. I've never had a kid before. I'm the oldest of 3 younger siblings. I've been to the hospital. My mom's given birth multiple times. But definitely not the same thing. And let me know if y'all think this matters at all. Does it matter at all that Travis Hunter had a kid this week? I feel like that'd be stressful. I feel like I don't know if this is the week we expect a massive jump up for Travis Hunter, but I could be wrong here. I definitely could be wrong. Okay. Phil says it doesn't matter. Troy says McCarthy had a kid too. I saw that. But Travis Hunter's kid was in the NICU, and I was in the NICU forever. Like, I had a bunch of problems when I was a baby. I was a super early baby. I would just go like, that's probably stressful as hell. Now, Box Papa, here, quarterback, give me Fields over Dak. Flex, give me Etienne and Devonta Smith now that you have no Dallas Goedert. Now, Rage Cage, back when I used to drink, this was my favorite drinking game. I would go Travis Etienne. Actually, James Cook, you got to play him. Travis Etienne's really exciting, but I think you realistically need to make a trade for a better quarterback or tight end. Your team's too good. Giancarlo, wide receiver, give me Ricky Pearsall with the injuries in San Fran. And we'll go Zay Flowers in the flex as well. I'm less excited about Flowers this week as we were last week. Now, Tudor, running back, give me Kenneth Walker over Jordan Mason. Tyler Warren at tight end. And then for the flexes, give me Sutton and Waddle. Savecchio, tight end, I'm going to go ahead and I'll take, I guess you have no option but Brenton Strange, David Njoku and Dow. Actually, no, I'd go Brenton Strange over David Njoku. I think game environment's going to be much better. S. Russ Bus, give me Jordan Mason over Sharps and Aaron Jones. And then for the flex, I'm going to go ahead. I'll probably take Garrett Wilson over Marv looking at the projections. Only drafts for the flex. Give me George Pickens here pretty easily. George Pickens is a much, much better play this week than he was last week. Rage Cage says, this trade went down. Tell them how bad it is, please. Okay. I'm not going to lie. I have live streamed for, what would y'all say? This is about to be the end of week 2. I've been live streaming, answering fantasy football questions for 3 weeks straight now, averaging about 3 hours a day. Let's call it I've done about 100 hours over the past 3 weeks answering fantasy football questions. Or that's bad math. I've done about 6, whatever the hell it is. And this is the first time that I have said a trade should be vetoed. A trade deserves to be vetoed. If somebody's trading Jahmyr Gibbs for Keon Coleman, it's either their first time playing fantasy football, or they have an IQ of a brick, or they are colluding. It's one of those 3 options. Regardless, if they're colluding, it should be vetoed. If it's their first time playing fantasy football and one person's taking advantage of the other, it should be vetoed. If the person has the IQ of a brick and they can't help from doing something like this, to protect the league, this should be vetoed. So, if I were the commish here, this would be a veto, but again, that's the first time that we've said this. at any point in any of the streams that we've done this year. Now, Nidell, quarterback, give me Bo Nix here pretty easily. Wide receiver, give me Brian Thomas easily. Tight end, give me Bowers easily. Now, BD trades with our next one. Give me Kyler over Baker. Chase Brown, Jacobs, running back. I'm assuming you already played Jacobs. Wide receiver, we're going to go Chase and Igbuka. Tight end, Tyler Warren. Flex, Tony Pollard, and Devontae Adams. In the long term, you would obviously way rather play Tet. Now, AC Moreno, this is Chase Brown and Tet versus CeeDee Lamb. League in which the depth actually matters a considerable amount. We have Gibbs and Etienne as our two running backs. So our starting lineup after this would be Lamb, Harrison, Gibbs, Etienne, then DJ Moore, Ridley, and we don't have that much depth beyond it. I would say in general, I want the CeeDee Lamb side of this from a value perspective, but from a roster perspective, it's going to be tough for you to make that deal. Let's refresh this, see if we have any more questions that came in. We have a couple. This is from Kook, says, first year in fantasy football, love the content. Really appreciate you, my guy. Running back, we play James Cook over Pollard, but it's close. Wide receiver, Mike Evans. And then Tony Pollard is still going to be a must-start option for us, realistically. If you are looking at Tony Pollard, last week he came through and he played 88% of the snaps, and that was the number one running back in the NFL from a usage perspective. Now, with that in mind, obviously you need to acknowledge the fact that it was not a good spot to play him. He had to go up against one of the toughest defenses in the NFL with the Broncos. But this is going to be a much better matchup for him. Now, M. Biengoy, Mahomes versus Fields. Give me Fields. Mahomes, tough matchup, and everybody's injured. Give me Chase Brown here at running back. Wide receiver, Jamar Chase, Marvin Harrison. And then I don't know if we played Terry McLaurin or not. If you did play Terry McLaurin, Ricky Pearsall would be your last play. If you didn't play Terry McLaurin, you'd go Calvin Ridley. Now, Leo Zerman, this is Igbuka versus Evans and Travis Hunter. I would rather have Mike Evans over Igbuka at this point. I know Igbuka scored all the points week one, but Evans still had more targets and we have the longer track record. So I'm going to go with Evans and Travis Hunter, not close. It's Waka with our next one. Running back, give me I'm going to go Sharp over Pacheco. Honestly, F it. Wide receiver / flex. I mean, I would... Full PPR format, give me Kayshon Boutte over Isaiah Pacheco. I'm done with Pacheco. Pacheco's done and dusted until we see otherwise. The banker tight ends, give me Evan Ingram, Darnell Mooney, and London are both healthy. Less excited about Pitts for that reason. And then Mike Evans is still going to be the auto start at wide receiver. But it looks like we had 800 likes on the stream, so we will go ahead and give away some free questions. All I ask for you to qualify for the free questions is 1, make sure you hit the like button. 2, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. I am live streaming every single day until Christmas, answering your fantasy football questions. You can see the majority of the questions that I answer in these streams are free questions submitted by y'all. So I'm going to be answering as many free questions as I possibly can to make sure that you're good to go for this year. Just make sure you're subscribed if you want those free ones. Now, Rats Get Cheese. Give me Tyler Warren over Hunter Henry easily, especially with the matchup that Pittman has. Steve Vecchio, this is Montgomery, Chase Brown, JSN versus Bijan and JMO. 12-team, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league. Give me JMO over Montgomery. Chase Brown and JSN versus Bijan's tough, though. After you were to make this deal, you would have Bijan Robinson and Ramondre Stevenson as your running back 2. And you would have A.J. Brown, Ladd McConkey, then JMO as your flex. So for me, I think the running back depth on your team is not strong enough. I think I would rather have the 3 players here, to be honest. But yeah, and also drop your flogfantasy.com username in the chat, and we'll pull y'all up and send over some free questions. Okay, we got Duke 13578. Just pulled you up. And actually, I cannot find you on the site. I can only find you on the site if you use code FLOCK. Let's go Dynamic Wave. Just found you and just sent you over that free start sit. We got just the two of us. Just found you and just sent you over that free start sit as well, my guy. Now, Lou Desheen here for the flex. Give me Amari and Hampton. Najee Harris had one touch last week, and this game environment and this matchup should be better for the Chargers. EJ0, give me Stroud over Daniel Jones. Really tough matchup for Daniel Jones. Tight end, give me Ferg over Fannin. Give me Swift in the flex. And then for the wide receiver spot, give me Keon Coleman. Now, Sinister Fury. Running back, I'm going to go with Amari and Hampton. Again, Najee only had one touch. And then for the flex spots, I'm going to go with the combo of Ricky Pearsall and Trevion versus Rome versus Hunter is not easy. I have Travis Hunter as the number one play here, and a big reason for that is it's the best game environment you could ask for. The Bengals-Jags currently projects to be the highest scoring game of the week, but again, by no means is that a guarantee. Now, Murby here for the flex. Travis Hunter is an auto lock, and I'd probably play DeAndre Swift as well. If you wanted to go Devonta Smith, I'm not going to fault you, but if you are looking at Swift... he had every single carry in Chicago this past week. Now, Minty Jimmy, I'm going to go with looking at what we have with the Vikings versus Bucks offense. Sportsbooks currently have an implied team total about 20.5 points for Tampa versus with Minnesota, they're up at 24.5. It's a much, much better matchup for McCarthy. We're still going to go Baker. Give me a larger sample of McCaffrey McCarthy before we make that call. Running back, Javonte and Brees. Hampton and Brees will be the plays. Wide receiver, give me Flowers. Tight end, give me Bowers. And then for the flexes, give me Javonte and Rome Odunze. Michael Pittman Jr. is not somebody that I want to start. It is a really tough matchup. Mike says, is there a discount code for your site? Yeah, if you use code FLOCK. Rubber bunts with our next question. Here for the flex. Pollard, ETN versus the receivers. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to play Tony Pollard. Again, number one running back in the NFL last week with his snap rate. Didn't want to play him last week because it was a tough matchup against Denver, but this one should be better. Now, Danger Witch. Here for the flexes. Jalen Warren's still starting running back for the time being. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to play Quentin Johnston. Actually, I'd play Brock Bowers. If you told me you already played Zach Ertz at tight end, it's one of the very few instances where I think you can flex at tight end. But yeah, Bowers should be good to go. So I'd put him in there over Quentin Johnston. And let's go back over to the team reviews. I think we have a couple team reviews to get through. Okay. Now, Elias will be our next one. Here with Elias's only team that I have that isn't top 1 to 3 in the rankings. Non-PPR, I feel like this team needs some help. Thanks for all you do. Thank you, my friend. And I'm going to be honest with you. The league analyzer is not going to be the best when it comes to non-PPR formats. The rankings are for full PPR leagues. So here, I would take it more of a position by position standpoint of where we are ranked. Like where are we at quarterback, where are we at running back, et cetera, et cetera. And this is a hilarious team name, by the way. I've looked at 1,000 team names. I have not seen this one. Okay, so we are 10th in the league analyzer, but yeah, it's not like we're that strong at running back, right? Quarterback's going to make up a very high percentage of our starting lineup output in a non-PPR league. If you just look at the math behind it, it's very surprising of what like Josh Allen can do here in a non-PPR format. Like I can almost guarantee we go up and look at the Josh Allen team. They won this week. They're 1-0. I mean, they should be number one in the NFL, but number one in this league by far. But anyway, so in general, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex, non-PPR format. If we had the expendable value at wide receiver, especially with the depth pieces, I would absolutely love to try to send like a depth receiver and Bo Nix to go get an upgraded QB. Like hell, I would, even though our wide receiver room's not great, if we could sell DJ Moore and Bo Nix and go get Jaden Daniels, go get Jalen Hurts, I think we go for it. Running back, we have Gibbs, we have Pollard, we have Sharp. Gibbs, obviously in a non-PPR format, looks a lot less appealing than he does in a full PPR league. Like, this kind of goes without being said, but in a non-PPR format, I would very easily flip Gibbs for Derrick Henry. I'd very easily flip Gibbs for Bijan. I'd flip Gibbs for Barkley. Running back 2, Pollard. Excited to play him. Zach Charbonnet, RB3. Braylon Allen, RB4. Najee Harris. I want to roster as many running backs as we possibly can here. Non-PPR format, we almost never want to flex like a wide receiver of the Quentin Johnston, Shaheed ilk. Non-PPR format, Ray Davis or DJ Giddens turns into the starting running back because the guy in front of them goes down. They could turn into a league winner. So I would drop Shaheed and I'd pick up Ray Davis. Same thing here. Like, I don't see what the upside is for like Britton Strange in a non-PPR league. So I would drop, especially if you have Tyler Morton, I'd drop Britton Strange and I'd pick up Ray Davis. I would just roster as many running backs here as we possibly could. Going over and looking at what we have at wide receiver, we have Thomas, we have Ted. Obviously, we still need the top end names that we can put into the lineup weekly. We have DJ Moore. The issue is like non-PPR format. It's not like DJ Moore is even that much more exciting than Zach Charbonnet to put in the flex spot. So again, I think we want to go through and drop in the bottom end receivers, drop the bottom end tight end, pick up the additional RBs. If we ever got the option, we ever got the possibility to trade DJ Moore and Bo Nix to go get a true elite level quarterback, I would absolutely love to do so. And then in terms of trades, I would even consider pivoting from Gibbs to like Jonathan Taylor in a non-PPR league. I would want another piece on top of it. But like if you could go, say, Jahmyr Gibbs and Bo Nix and get back like, especially if this team thinks they're good with Herbert, send like Jahmyr Gibbs and Bo Nix and get back Hurts and Jonathan Taylor, I would love that. Absolutely love it. But again, at the very minimum, I think you want to be making those waiver wire pivots and just roster as many running backs here as you possibly can. But I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this, my guy. I know you've been with us for a while. Let me make sure that we send you over some of those free questions just in case there's anything that you want to follow up with us here. Now, let's move this over to Goddamn says, maybe you could give me some advice on who I should add/trade some running back quarterback value for Higgins. Already have a waiver wire on Kraft. So we're the number 1 team in the league. It's a league in which you can only start 2 wide receivers and 1 flex. So here's the thing. It's very obvious if you could go through and if you could trade T. Higgins to go get an elite quarterback, to go get an elite running back in your league, you're going to do so. Higgins is your wide receiver 4. You can't start 4 wide receivers in this league. So I understand the initial thought process being like, oh, let's go ahead and let's sell T. Higgins. Here's my thing. After last week's performance, is there anybody that's excited to buy T. Higgins? Is it going to be easy for you to go through and make this pivot? I don't think so. So what I would probably look at doing instead is I would probably go ahead and I would try to maybe, I know this is crazy, I'd move Puka. I'd move Lamb. I'd move Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think you can sell one of these wide receivers for a true elite running back. Like, look at this team that's right under us in the league analyzer. They're almost the exact opposite. They have all the running back value. We have all the wide receiver value. Can we flip them, Puka Nacua and Quinshon Judkins, for Bijan Robinson? Could we flip them, Amon-Ra St. Brown and Caleb Williams, for Josh Allen? We make one of those trades. We give them a wide receiver that they're excited about. And honestly, I think that we can easily do it because look at their team. They have Rashee Rice out. They have Reed out. Their wide receiver 2 is Waddle. Their wide receiver 3 is Shaheed. So, like, plan A, of course, is, yeah, I'm going to offer them T. Higgins and Caleb Williams for Josh Allen. But the expectation is that's rejected immediately. Hopefully they send us a counter. If they don't send us a counter, then we're going to have to go back out and reach out to them and go like, hey, well, what do you think about a swap of Amon-Ra St. Brown and Caleb for Josh Allen? We're like, maybe it seems like we're overpaying there a bit, but at the end of the day, you'll be able to bring in Josh Allen, start Puka, Lamb, and T. Higgins. So wide receiver, we're still absolutely elite. We have the elite quarterback. We can open up 2 roster spots where you can go pick up Caleb Johnson and Byshell Tootin for free to give us some upside at running back. So I think I'm 100% going to look to do so. Or obviously we can look to make the simple swaps of Amon-Ra St. Brown for Chase Brown, or Puka Nacua for Bijan, or Lamb for Bijan. But I think we attack that team and try to get a wide receiver. And then again, the thing is, we try to give them a wide receiver. And also, if we're going to look at what we could potentially do in terms of tight end quarterback, like if you got an elite player at either position, like if you end up actually being able to pick up Tucker Kraft, you can open up another roster spot by cutting Harold Fannin. We can go over to running back. We can pick up Caleb Johnson. If you were to trade for the elite quarterback, again, like we said, you could pick up Byshell too, and maybe even Brian Robinson on top of that if we open up another roster spot. And again, if we're just going to go through and we're going to roster as many running backs as possible, there's a good shot that you're able to just have one of these running back 2s breaking out at some point, whether that's Harvey, Judkins, Warren, Sampson, Caleb, Tootin. So agreed, selling T. Higgins for a running back or a quarterback could be advantageous, but my expectations would be that you're not going to get a ton for T. Higgins. And instead, you maybe end up looking to sell one of the top end receivers for a better player. But I really appreciate you and really hope that I was able to help you out in some way with this. And again, thank you so much for being a member of the flock, my guy. Now, Nidell with our next question says, hey, Mason, just traded DK and Dobbins for Bowers right after. Oh, that is a phenomenal trade. You should be at the very top of the league analyzer after that. Let me send you over some free questions. Okay, it's a 14-team format. That makes a little bit more sense why they would be willing to do so. I'd rather have a tight end 1 over a wide receiver 2 to worry about. What do you think? For a 14-teamer, I still think we make another move for a receiver. Enjoy the content. Really appreciate you. 14-team format. Like, I understand the depth being a little bit tougher to come by, so I understand them wanting to go through and them wanting to make sure they can get a couple starters for Bowers. But if we're looking at where our team is currently situated, we're number one in the league analyzer. It's a 14-team league. We have 2 elite RBs. We have a running back like Travis Etienne that we can jam. Thank God we have Hollywood Brown for the time being, because we actually have an exciting wide receiver too for now. The issue is with our team is obviously the long-term upside that we have at wide receiver. So I think what we do very quickly is we're going to drop Wan'Dale Robinson and pick up Jaden Higgins. If we look at the possibility of one of these players turning into an every week starter, I think that it's probably going to be the guy that just got selected in round 2 of the NFL draft with a pretty damn good quarterback and no clear competition to be the wide receiver 2 in that offense. So I would drop Wan'Dale for Jaden Higgins for sure. Kyle Pitts is clearly expendable. If there's any world in which we can go and trade Kyle Pitts for a wide receiver upgrade, we would, now that we have Bowers and Bowers is good to go. Like this team here is Jonnu Smith and Noah Fant. Can we possibly send them Kyle Pitts and Josh Downs and get up to Devonta Smith? Could we send them Kyle Pitts and Hollywood to get up to Smith? Could we send them Kyle Pitts and Keenan Allen to get to Keon Coleman? Going over and looking at this team's only tight ends, Dalton Schultz. Could we offer them Kyle Pitts and Josh Downs for DJ Moore? Kyle Pitts and Hollywood for DJ Moore? Kyle Pitts and Keenan for DJ Moore? And again, if we're not able to do that, then we're still wanting to go through. We're still wanting to pick up Jaden Higgins off waivers by cutting Wan'Dale. Running back, we're in a phenomenal spot, and that's even assuming we never get anything from Joe Mixon. And then I think the other scenario in which you want to make a trade with this team, even though you have the best team in the league, is if Mixon does indeed end up coming back in like week 5. Then you can maybe go through and you can maybe look at Travis Etienne as an expendable asset at that point. But until then, I actually really want to hold on to the 3 running backs and just have the best RB2 in this league and the best flex in this league every week. But I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this. A phenomenal trade. Honestly, there's not much I can say with your team, where we're the clear number 1 team in the league. And I think we're going to be even better after we just make that small waiver wire pivot. And then obviously try to get any value that we can out of Pitts. But I really do appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this, my guy. Now let's move this over to our next one. And let's save this team review. Let's go over and get to some of the quick questions really fast. So these are going to be the non-team reviews, the start sit, the trade, the super messages. Now Jay Tomp with the next one. Here we need a flex between Hollywood and JMO. I'm going to go Hollywood this week, JMO long term. Boss Dog says full BBR, 2 QB, need to Flacco, Stroud, Goff, 1 point per catch. We are for sure going to go Stroud and Goff here. No questions about it. Flacco, not that exciting whatsoever, where if you're looking at what we have this week, you do have the Browns projected to be the lowest scoring offense in the league. Now, Pug Muffin trading CMC and Brian Thomas for, and this is a dynasty league, for a first, Adams. No, there's no way you could do this. CMC is worth a first in dynasty, and I'd way rather have Brian Thomas than the other side. CMC side easily. Now, Slum with our next question. This is JCM, Pollard, Igbuka, Hollywood versus JMO, London. Igbuka versus London. Give me London. Honestly, this is going to be the London side. London's by far and away better than all these other options. And I think like JMO's comparison compared to Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt, maybe in the short term when Pollard's balling with no Spears, this looks close, but once Spears back in, London's going to run away with this. And XXJ Kizzle with our next one, but I just realized that our microphone, not our microphone, my mouse died, so I'm gonna have to wait 15 seconds for this thing to get a little bit of juice in it. And as I wait these 15 seconds, I will stall by asking you to go down, hit the like button, and of course subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already, where we are live streaming every single day, answering your fantasy football questions. And you can see the majority of the questions that we answer here are free questions as well. And we just answer those free questions for the people that are subscribed to the channel. So if you haven't already, go down there, subscribe, give away a bunch of free questions every stream. And it looks like, I just pulled up my phone, we are about 19,500 subscribers away from hitting 300K. So it looks like there is a possibility it happens. But let me pull this back up. So here for the flex, we're going to go ahead and we're going to take Tony Pollard and James Cook at running back. This is a great team. Brutal to have to be benching Travis Etienne. BD trades, running back, we're going to play Tracy, and then I'm going to go with Jordan Mason. Wide receiver, give me Justin Jefferson. And then for the flex, give me A.J. Brown and Garrett Wilson. Now, Neighbors Be Crazy says, need running back help for the team. Evans for JT turned down. This team's not linked, my friend. I will send you over a free trade question. But yeah, the team's not linked, and I don't know what to tell you here. Now, some blind guy with our next one. Wide receiver, we got... honestly, Ricky Jamo as the starts, and then tight end, I'm going to go Juwan over Njoku. There's no part of me that wants to start either of the Cleveland tight ends this week. Let's refresh this. Unused cow here with the flex spot. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take Devonta Smith here. Myers would have been my call last night, but now that you have no Goddard and Bowers is playing, I think we go Smith. But it is very close between those two. But let's pull this back up. And this next team review coming out from Mason P. Says 4 running back limits. I hate when we have like those positional limits. 5 wide out limit. Just seeing what we need to do to improve the team. I can't stand the guy I'm playing this week. Hence the name. Appreciate it. Thanks. Okay, let me see what the name is. For whatever reason, it's not pulling up over here. Sorry, just give me 1 second. Okay, team name is Kyle F's Dudes. Okay, pretty funny. Let's pull this up. So we can't like tell you like, oh, drop the backup tight end. Tucker Kraft's going to crush. Pick up Tyrone Tracy. You can only roster 4 RBs. But what we can say is when we are in a situation in which Tyrone Tracy is on the waiver wire, you are highly, highly incentivized for us to go through and for us to make 2-for-1 deals to improve inside the starting lineup. That way we can take advantage and we can pick up these names for free. An example of this is Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. I would rather have over Tyrone Tracy, but they're not that far off. So like, let's go through a hypothetical scenario in which we trade Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt and Cortland Sutton and we get back Ladd McConkey, right? So let's go through and let's throw this into the trade calculator. We trade away JCM and we trade away Sutton and we get back Ladd. And let's put this with my values specifically. If you use my values here, making this trade, it will say that you lose. But the context that we need is you get Tyrone Tracy for free off waivers. So if you get Tracy for free off the waiver wire, you can afford to quote unquote lose these deals if we get to pick up these free names. Another example of this would be us potentially trading away like Chuba Hubbard and Mahomes for a top end quarterback, right? Like we go ahead and we trade Chuba Hubbard and Mahomes for Jalen Hurts. And again, if we go through and if we look at this type of deal, the trade calculator will tell us that we slightly lose, but we throw in the fact that you get Tyrone Tracy for free off the waiver wire, then all of a sudden you're winning this trade. So in a vacuum with this, what I would say is you are highly incentivized to make 2-for-1 trades where we can backfill off waivers with these free players. Now, looking at the team, it is very well balanced. We are 7th with quarterback value, 3rd at running back, 6th at wide receiver, 5th at tight end. It's a league in which the skill positional depth would matter if it wasn't for the limits, because you can start up to a combined 6 running backs and receivers weekly. Tucker Kraft looks like a really strong option after the Jaden Reed injury. If we're submitting a starting lineup for our team this week, we're going to be going with Bucky, Kyron, Hubbard, Jefferson, Sutton, and Smith. And then we're going to go with, honestly, Dak over Mahomes this week specifically. If you wanted to try to leverage what we had here with the massive Tucker Kraft Thursday night performance and the Jaden Reed injury, where we wanted to try to sell like Kraft and Sutton for McBride, Kraft and Sutton for Bowers, we're going for it. Again, going back to what we were talking about with the elite quarterbacks, selling Chuba and Mahomes for Hurts, Chuba, Mahomes for Daniels, Kyron and Mahomes for Josh Allen, Kyron and Mahomes for Lamar, and just pick up the absolute free option with Tyrone Tracy. That's the only thing to say with this team is just abuse those 2-for-1 deals, because we can abuse the league settings with the roster limits here. But I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way. Let me make sure that we send you over some free questions here, just in case you have anything else. But those are really the only moves you could make in a league like this. But let's move this over to our next one coming out from Jeremy. This is another league in which we have a phenomenal team. We have the number 1 team in the league analyzer. Now, this is a 10-team league where you can only start 2 wide receivers and 1 flex. So if it's a 10-team league where you only start 2 receivers and a flex, then at that point, we need to be selling a receiver here. Like, we have a phenomenal squad, right? We have Jacobs and Chase Brown at running back. We have Lamb, London, Evans at wide receiver. We have Harrison on the bench. We have a solid tight end with Tyler Warren. But I'm going to go try to send Mike Evans and Justin Fields and see if we can get Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Jaden Daniels, Jalen Hurts. I would send Drake London and Bo Nix and get Josh Allen, to be honest. Because then you can just slide Marvin Harrison up into the flex, no harm, no foul. Beyond that, what I would say with this team for damn sure is you need to cut Kenneth Gainwell. Gainwell has remotely no upside. Even if you were to get an injury to Jalen Warren, then at that point, you're probably in a spot in which, like, Caleb Johnson all of a sudden actually expands his role. So, cut Gainwell. You have 2 different interesting options to pick up. It's either going to be Trey Benson or Jordan Addison. In a vacuum, I'd way rather have Jordan Addison. With your team specifically, you may actually end up going with Trey Benson if you can't make the sell where we send over the wide receiver with Bo Nix or Justin Fields to get to the elite level QB. That would be my plan A here in a league in which, again, you have Lamb, London, Evans, Harrison, Worthy, and you can only start 2 receivers and 1 flex. But I think that's all we got for you. Again, I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this. But the fact of the matter is, you are in a really good spot as is for your team. Like, you're by far and away the best team in the league. Let's refresh this, see if we have any more coming in. We got Richie with the trade. This is Kyron, JCM, Tet versus RJ Harvey and Puka Nacua. Give me Harvey, JCM, Tomato, Kyron, and Tet versus Puka. Give me Puka. Actually, this is a 14-team start 8 format. 14-team start 8 league. Afterwards, we'd have Hampton, RJ Harvey at running back. Wide receiver, we would be playing Puka, Lamb, Sutton, and then our last flex spot would be like Cedric Tillman. I would say vacuum for the majority of people watching this. I'm for sure going to go ahead and I'm going to take Puka, but for your league, the depth matters so much. I don't know if we can give up the additional starter. But I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this, my guy. But I think that's going to be it for the live stream tonight. I got to go to bed because I'm going to be waking up super, super early to answer more questions in the morning. We'll do a 5-hour stream tomorrow morning answering questions. So, of course, we're going to be giving away a ton of free questions, as we always do. All I ask is you subscribe to the channel and hit the bell next to the subscribe button if you want YouTube to let you know when we go live. But I'll be live streaming every single day, answering questions. But I really appreciate y'all sticking with me, and I really hope I get to see you out with that live stream tomorrow morning.